It is 6:30, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. Make sure this is working. Doesn't look like it. There it goes. It is 6:30, and I'm calling the Newfane Selectboard meeting for April 19th to order. The first order of business is the review of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 5th meeting?
So moved.
Second. Motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. On page 2, on the bottom of that, maybe just for some clarification with, this is under Tristram Johnson, and in the next paragraph, the third sentence, the town plan does need updating. However, it's more critical to get the plan in place in order to take advantage of available grants. So I'm not quite sure what that meant.
Okay. Any comments?
I wondered about that, if they were talking about the bylaws and the plan?
It is actually the plan that needs, I think just the wording is, hi Chris.
Hi, John.
The meeting has been called to order, just so you
For
know.
being late. Pretty broad hint.
It says it's more critical. It really, if you just put period and it's critical. It's not so much more critical, it's just that it is critical to get the plan in place.
Maybe we could cross the more out.
The word more and make it a new sentence.
And then on the top of page 2, we have, under the road foreman's report was accepted unanimously, it says a motion was made by whom? And seconded by Priscilla.
Okay, so we don't know who actually made this motion. Does anyone recall making the motion to keep
Wasn't
Dan
me.
on through?
I think maybe I did.
Okay, let's, do you mind?
No, I don't mind.
Okay, so let's just insert your name there. Okay. Anything else for it?
I'm wondering on the top of page 2, I guess I had everything on page 2, the one about the Deer Hill Road. Todd, didn't you say that you're going to talk to Mike Fitzpatrick?
Yeah.
And then it said, then we didn't seem to have any other action. So I don't really remember, Todd, what you said about the Deer Hill Road. It's just we're going to wait for it to fall down.
Wait, see what happens with it.
Okay.
We're hoping it's not going to fall
Right,
down.
but
Okay. All right, so what I
sorry.
think we could probably leave it. I mean, make clear what the issues are.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, if that's acceptable. Is there any further discussion on the minutes? With hearing none, go to the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, and I'm just, if you, with the board's permission, I'm now just saying as amended. If we're talking about the minutes, if we make changes, I'm not going to, ask, do it formally. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And that's
Motion carries
yeah,
unanimously.
just to clarify that that's for the April 5th, 2012.
For April 5th. Now we're going on to the minutes of April 12th. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, now this, Todd was not here, so he's going to abstain from that. Is there any discussion on the minutes of April 12th?
There was something. I don't remember what it was.
Okay. Well, if there's an issue of substance, we can certainly bring it back up. It's not, there's nothing, the minutes don't bind us in any way other than motions.
Shannon, I don't have a copy of that.
Do you want, year to year.
But that's okay.
Good, those are yours, right?
Yeah, but you can hand it back.
Well, I did read them before.
Oh, okay. You have it in an email, so you could
Right.
always print it again. All right, hearing no discussion on this, all those in favor of approving the minutes as read or as written?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries.
There you
Move
go.
on. I do want to move
Aye.
fairly expeditiously. We actually have a long agenda tonight
Okay.
and an executive. We have a liquor control board meeting and we have an executive committee meeting after the regular meeting. So I would like us to move expeditiously if we possibly can.
That's yours.
Todd,
That's
I hand it over to you for the road foreman's
Two of
report.
Yeah, first, I'd like to thank everybody here at the town office and the garage and other people who have gave us flowers, cards, and food during the loss of my mother. And thanks to everybody else who sent cards that isn't part of the right here. It was very nice, and it was a tough time, but we're getting over it. So, but again, thank you to everybody for that. As far as the roads go, all the posted signs have been taken down now on all the dirt roads. We're hauling crushed gravel to cover up all the stone that we put down during mud season. The roads are slowly, very slowly shaping up, but we're gaining on them some. We have a lot of little roads to do, but we're trying to get the main roads shaped up. We do have a complaint, or did have a complaint from a gentleman on the South Wardsboro Road that he ran over a rock on the South Wardsboro Road and blew one tire. And he would like to kind of pay for 4 tires, because she says it's an all-wheel drive and he needs 4 tires. I would suggest that the town turns that over to our insurance company and let them handle that, as we normally do. I don't think we're going to get anywhere, but that's okay. As far as the equipment goes, the 07 F350, the one we're always having trouble with, we're having trouble with again. Now it has ejector problems in the engine, so it's up there having ejectors replaced. Still under warranty, but still down. The F600 chloride truck needs a starter. We're going to put that in at the shop. As far as the truck bids go, some of the truck companies have come and looked at the 7400 International that we're trading in. What we normally do with the truck bids, we'll normally open them, and then I would like to review the bids with the highway crew and Christopher before we accept the bid. After we review it, we should accept one and get it back to the dealership as soon as possible so we can get the truck here before winter. And I just mentioned that the last board talked us over quite a bit. Decided that we weren't necessarily going to go the cheapest truck because we've had nothing but trouble with the cheap trucks that we buy. And that it might pay to even go with one of the higher bids, hoping that we get a better truck out of it. I know that the 2 Max that we've had, the 87 that we had, and now the 90 that we still have been really good trucks. They've held up really well. I'd like to, I don't know what the bids are going to look like, but if we could buy another Mac, I'd like to maybe do that. Get back into something that's going to last for 10 years, not cost us a fortune. The last truck that we bought just cost us a lot of money and it's still not running right. As far as FEMA work goes, Dan's here. He can probably fill you in better than I can because of all the time I missed. But I know Fitzpatrick's working on Adams Hill Road. Do you have an update on that, Dan?
Fitzpatrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, Adams Hill's under construction and finish the final drainage work. The way he's moving, I think it could be done by next Friday or so.
That would be a good thing. The other FEMA work that's going on, Todd Brown should be starting on Dover Road, cleaning up the yards that we used for a detour. I would assume next week, wouldn't you? I hope.
Yeah.
And he's got Walter Phelps' field to get done. And Renaud Brothers are working on bridge number 8, which is the one by Marion Robinson's. They're refacing one wing wall. Is that right?
Wardsboro, they're refacing 2 wing walls.
2 wing walls. So that's taking place right at the moment. What other FEMA work have we got going on right at the moment other than
I
that?
got a call from a guardrail company. They'll be on site next Tuesday for guardrail on Dover Road, install the anchors, the wood guardrail at the covered bridge, signs, delineators, miscellaneous stuff. It's 2 different crews for 2 different installs, so the guardrail work might go the first week and then the following week the signs.
He's got some guardrail work to do up on South Orchard Road for FEMA work too, right? He's gonna do that at the same time?
Yeah, I got a call in with Barry Cahoon and Todd Moniz for a site visit for 3 projects that will require some work adjacent to a waterway.
All right. He's also bid, and I forgot to bid it in my truck, for Dover Road, way up by Brookside, basically from Maureen's up to bottom of Jack Hill.
I don't think Dan could hear you.
I
What?
didn't hear that last comment.
Well, he's got work to do for the town too, and I forgot to bring the bids in because he wanted us to sign them and get them back to him, so I'll have to bring those in. They're over budget, but what he said he would do is charge us what we have in the budget for now, and then July charge us the other half so that we aren't over budget. He would rather do it right now while he's here than come back and have to do another half all over again.
So what are we talking about numbers wise?
I don't have it with me, it's in my house.
Oh,
I have to
okay.
bring it. I can get it,
Okay.
and it's actually on my computer, so maybe if I get Shannon to help me, I can email it to you
Okay.
so we can see it. It's got to be signed and sent back to him.
And who's this again?
F.R. Lafayette Company.
And is this flood work or flood?
No.
No, this is our town work.
Right.
And roughly, what kind of amounts are we talking about? Are we what area?
Like almost 15,000, I think.
uh,
15 or 16,000, somewhere right around
the
there.
total.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we have 8,000 in the budget for this year. We have 8,000 in the budget again for next year. So what you would do is bill us 8,000 for this year, and then July 1st bill us 8,000 for next year.
But we would essentially be using up our full budget for
Right.
this for next year. And this is the budget for
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you foresee any other bandrail work that we're gonna need within the next, whatever it is,
No.
15 months?
Not really. There's quite a bit needs to be done up on Dover Road, but that would take care of some of
Okay.
it.
All right, so we're kind of using up what we got. Then.
Yeah.
We don't know what we can do.
Right. Bridge 14, the old bridge, is pretty much gone. Renaud Brothers are working right along with that project. The evening center button's gone now, so I see they're doing some site work now, some riprap work, and wouldn't be too long. They'll have the footings dug for the both the buttons, I think. The Harkness property on Deer Hill, I'm going to meet with Mike Fitzpatrick and Andy Harkness. I told them probably Monday, but I'm not going to be here Monday. We have a family thing I have to take care of. But probably on Tuesday, get that project done. Andy said he was fine with that. So I'll call Andy back tomorrow and let him know if it'll be Tuesday. Paving bids and roadside mowing bids will go out soon. Looks like we'll be paving Grimes Hill from Newfane Hill to about 500 feet to before Dover Road. We need to fill out a paving grant application, even though we may not get it, but the state just announced that they have like $1.5 million more that they're going to give the town. So we may actually get it if we fill it out. So I'll try to work with Shannon on that and get that done. I know she's been
Does
pretty
that have
busy.
a deadline?
No. I mean, we should get it done as soon as possible, but no. Shannon's been pretty busy, so we haven't done it, but we will. The New York rake is here and working well.
Pretty.
Yes, nice orange color. Mike O'Donnell is out hurt. He was playing with his children and did something to his shoulder. He has to go down and have a MRI done Tuesday, I think. But he was saying that the doctors are saying maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and if that's the case, we're gonna have to hire somebody part-time to fill in. We'll have to wait till after the doctor's appointment to see what's going on there.
What about the guy we do use?
Jay,
Jay.
he's getting busy at the greenhouse now.
Oh, I see.
But I have another gentleman that John was gonna check with him to see if he wants to fill in, so. I won't be here Monday. I have to take my father down to Bradford for some surgery. And there's gonna be days coming up, as you probably all figure, that I have to take off for my mother's estate stuff coming up, so there's gonna be some days where I won't be here. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay. Todd, could you I don't even care if it's handwritten,
That's all it is.
just make it, maybe Shannon can make a copy and put
Yeah.
that into the,
I can do that.
that would be good. Questions?
We've already got do we have to wait for the motion to?
I don't know.
We're okay.
Is there a motion to accept the road foreman's report?
So moved. Seconded.
Okay. Discussion.
On the bids, Todd, you said something about maybe going with a hire to get a better truck, don't the bids go out for a given model, or how did that?
They have to follow specs, but there's all kinds of different trucks out there.
Okay,
I know that a certain truck that a lot of towns have around here right now, it's been really bad.
yeah,
To the point where Northborough takes one truck over, picks one up, and brings another one over, and they've been doing that now for like 6 months. And we have one of those trucks that we're trading in. That's been a nightmare.
so we couldn't, I mean, could the town just say, we want the Mac?
Yeah.
We can make a choice, I believe.
Yeah, but I just meant in the specs themselves, could we?
Well, it's already been
Oh,
done.
I understand that for this one, but if we're really adamant about having that,
Well, we have to put it out to bid.
true, but they could all bid on the same model, or no?
Mac is Mac. There's only one dealership that'll
Oh,
bid.
okay,
So
so
it's a territory thing.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see if the bids come back.
We're
on,
gonna
see
get,
what we can
that
do
is
for
the kind of the next order of business, so we can continue discussing this one with the bids open.
And then maybe, John, you could bring it up at some point, but this whole bid process, if we have the lowest bid, I mean, I just don't know the final process of it. I mean, if you've got one down here, but that's not as good quality, we can, I mean, that's just a legal point that I'm asking about. Why do we put bids out to go to the lowest bid?
Well, Mac may be your lowest bid.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't know what they're going to bid. So it's just like roadside mowing. You usually take the lowest bid because it's the lowest bid, and you hope the guy's going to do a good job. That's why you always put in the board has the right to reject any and all
okay,
bids.
we do have that.
Yeah, I
It's in
believe
the
that.
it's in the spec in here.
Good.
It has a right to accept or reject any and all bids. So
Since you brought it, we have it in correspondence, I'll take the letter we received about the
Tire.
man Scott tires. As we discussed on the phone today, I had a rock put a hole in my tire this morning while traveling on the South Dodgeboro Road. Mud season was very bad, and having to travel the road to get to and from on 3 different days. I'm not going to read all the detail. The road, he mentions the road crew had to dump a lot of road to make the road passable. He reported the poor condition several times. Certainly we've heard from the road foreman that the road conditions was very rough with the mud season as far as mud was concerned. Now, the road is dry and hard, and the rocks left are extremely hard on the tires. One cut his tire. Because I have an all-wheel vehicle, you cannot replace one tire. This cost me $979.21. When I talked with the town road crew today, he said they were very busy and not yet been able to grade the road. He was aware that there are a lot of rocks in the road. I can understand things are busy, but as a taxpayer, I cannot understand why I have to travel on a town road each day that the town does not have either enough time or money to properly maintain. With 3 years of payments still left on my vehicle, I'm concerned it will last because of the abuse due to the road. Cost of the tires and the work as a result of the town not properly taking care of its road. If I can find the time and resources to pay my taxes, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect the road to be maintained in return. I'm requesting to be reimbursed $979.21, cost of the damage incurred today. Please let me know what the plans are. Signed, Ken Lively. Now, what I'd like to do is just get the sense of the board. The road foreman has suggested that we hand it over to our attorney with the
insurance company.
the insurance company, the town insurance, that's
Right.
DLCT, with the knowledge that very unlikely for them to cover it. Is there any discussion on that suggestion?
I think the part about not maintaining the road is because of what we went through with mud season. I mean, there was 2 weeks and they were lucky to get over that road at all. And we dumped a couple thousand yards of stone on that road probably. So it takes a while to regrade it, and I think there's probably 100 or more cars travel that road every day. This is the first I've heard of somebody blowing a tire. But
For the record, I lost a tire about 3 months ago on one of our roads, but I figured that's if I wanna drive in these conditions, I don't have a lot of choice. But I
Yeah.
want the sense of the board, if anyone, feels anything else is appropriate other than handing it over to our insurance company to see if
That,
they
that would be
recover.
my opinion. So,
Okay, enough said, we will do that. Any further discussion on the road foreman's report? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the road foreman's report as read would like it put into, that we make a copy of it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the next item of business. Let me just, while we're on this, do we send a note? I guess we need to instruct Shannon to send a note back to this man. What do we do in this case? I'm looking for advice from the board. Shannon, what do we normally do if we say we're going to hand it over to the insurance company? Would you reply to this?
Yep.
So, I'm asking you to do that. Thank you. Okay. Excess road work weight permits. And we do have a couple. These keep coming up, and let me just say I had a brief conversation with Shannon about it. It does seem that we do little more than read them aloud, and that I don't know the benefit of that. One possibility is that we could authorize Shannon that unless there is something exceptional about the request, that she is authorized to accept the permits and to inform anyone who asks for a permit over $99,000 that they must inform her directly of what their path is. We could do that as opposed to each meeting discuss each of them. It's up to the board how you would like to handle it.
Would it make any sense for her to run it by Todd, being that he's sort of...
That Shannon could obviously do whatever she felt if she felt there was something,
I mean, because sometimes you have a comment about
Yeah.
somebody or another doing...
I can meet with her after the selectmen's meeting, like on a Friday or something, go over.
If there's any question.
I don't
Or
know
prior
if
to...
But it would just seem simpler. I hate doing things that are just pro forma. We're just
Right.
reading them aloud and saying, I don't have any basis to say this one's good and that one's bad.
If she reminds me, I can come in Thursday night a little early and go over with her.
I don't even think it's necessary. I think it's only if she feels there's something that looks unusual to her, because certainly Shannon would be more familiar with these than any of us, other than yourself. So,
I got a question on that.
yes.
Since it's official town business, Congress has something like that where you, instead of making a speech, you announce that it's in the record. Can you just, at the beginning of a meeting, say, these are the items that have come in and by agreement Shannon has approved?
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. That sounds like
So
an
that's in the
excellent
record.
suggestion. So could I hear a motion to that effect from
So moved.
second?
What
Is there
Gunther
a
said.
second?
Seconded.
Okay, is there any discussion?
You still have a motion on the road foreman's report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Shannon.
No, we voted
No.
on it.
No, we voted on it. We voted on it.
I didn't say anything, but you guys voted on it.
We voted on it, Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was passed
I
unanimously.
was just
I
making
didn't
sure
say
Tom
it was passed unanimously, but it was. Okay, so we have a motion now that we authorize Shannon Meckel, the assistant to the, really it's the position, the assistant to the select board, to sign these, whether we authorize her to sign these, to bring them to Todd's attention first if there is some question, and if there is a significant question, to bring them to the full board to discuss. And
finish that
go ahead.
idea of making sure that we
And to alert us to which companies and how many trucks for each that have been authorized.
What?
That you would let us know what you signed, essentially.
Gunther, can you say again? It's
I propose that Shannon's action on the weight permits be read into the record on a regular basis when they occur.
We could simply add it to the minutes. Even.
Yeah, right, be added to the
Okay.
minutes.
All right, so
it's just names.
that's the motion. Shannon, is that clear enough in terms of running it
That's
up?
not, yes.
Okay. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Meanwhile, we should take care of these ones we do have. We have 2 permits that are requested. One is for Fitzpatrick Excavating. There are 4 trucks, 80,000, 80,000, 69, and 60. Do I have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
All,
Seconded.
any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. And we have a second from Travis Bristol. 4 trucks, 35,000, and 3 trucks of 60,000. Do I have a motion to accept that excess work weight permit?
Seconded.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Next. Shannon, do you get these back now?
Yep.
I'll just put them at the bottom of the pay orders. Okay. The Radway, this is actually, we'll do at the end of the meeting. There was one signature missing on the land swap that we handled last week. So we'll just take care of it when we do the pay orders. Okay. We already voted. We don't need further discussion on it. Now we move to the truck bid opening. We have a total of 4 bids. Todd, if you could give us just a quick statement of what it is we have asked for in our, as I open them, and in our, in soliciting bids, what we were asking them to provide us with.
Well, they have to follow the spec that we spec'd out for a new cab and chassis. And then there was, the second part of the bid should be, which we all kind of bid, but the body included, plow, sander, wing, lighting system for the truck, that type of stuff. What we're doing is replacing this 2003 7400 International dump truck. So this will be the replacement truck. We're trying to get them in and get them back before winter gets here. I think we got 165,000, what is
Yeah.
that? But with trading, it should be, I'm hoping, considerably less than that. In that bid process is included trading for that truck. Should be included for trading on that truck.
On the other side.
Oh, here, pull to open. Hmm? I have it, it's just sometimes that's easier and sometimes just brute force is very effective. Okay, I've now opened, we have 4 bids, and as Todd was saying in his report, it does seem to be each bid is based on which company you're asking. So, the first bid is from Patriot Freightliner Western Star. Patriots bid for a 2013 Freightliner C&CH is $85,000. HP Fairfield body quote $61,480. Total price $146,628 minus trade allowance of $17,000 for a grand total of $129,000. They are also offering a second option, which is a 2013 Western Star CNCH for $89,500 with a body quote of $61,480, total of $159,888 minus again the $17,000.
159 what?
$150,988 for a total amount of $133,988. So those are essentially 2 options offered by Patriot. The second bid is double seal. It's a really secret bid. So secret, we can't see it.
Yeah.
And this is from New Hampshire Peterbilt. And this is for a 2013 Peterbilt Model 348 proposal. Has a nice picture of the truck, if anybody wants to see. They are offering 2 trucks, an HP Fairfield for $150,361, less the trade. They're offering $12,500 in trade for a total of $137,861. Or they are offering a body from Tenco Industries, sale price $141,835, again less $12,500, for a total sale of $129,335. The third bid is from Mac. I'm going to have to recuse myself because I'm a
Oh,
Mac.
Sean Mack.
How much do you get?
Chick-a-boom. Okay. 31 proposal. Okay, just taking a look. This appears to be details of the truck. And here's the proposal. And I'm just looking to see what the actual bid is. Here we go. Selling price. Now, 106,000. I wonder if this is not including the.
That's just the cabin.
That's just the cabin, right? Not the body or
I
the.
assume so.
Yeah, with the acquisition 107. Now, they're not includes trade if applies. I mean, this is a little differently written. The selling price is 106,656.70. Then a material surcharge. And the selling price, it says excluding taxes, fees, and trade. So that would say not including the trade.
Right.
But then they add it up and they say acquisition cost $107,379, include trade if applies. Now then they have some asterisks, and that just didn't change it that much. It's really just the sum of these figures. So
Somewhere's got to be a trade.
so somewhere there's got to be a trade, and here seems to be the body, which is HP Fairfield. Does that make sense? That would be that, and that's at $61,480. So that would make the total cost $176,000 or $168,000 in total if I put those two together. Trade value $17,000. So presumably what they're saying is they're saying that the truck plus body would be, and I'm rounding here, $168,000 less the 17 would be $151,000. And then their trade conditions associated. So it's a little confusing because in one of the lines they say include trade if applies, but clearly that does not include does not count that in there. So that appears to be the money that they're asking for. And then it shows the coverages, the warranty that you would receive, and various details of the truck. And this here is still, these appear to be, I mean, I can't tell whether they're copies of the same thing.
Copyright bid.
This is the minimum truck count bid. This seems to be details. This may be what this is what we sent them. They're sending us back. Okay. But here's another. It looks like they may have sent us 2 copies. Here's a proposal. Oh, I see. This must be me. I must have just read it. I must have moved it twice. And then pictures of the engine if you're interested, coverages, etc. So all of this is related to that same truck. I thought thought there was a
There were four.
fourth.
Well, you did. You had the Freightliner and the Western Star from
Ah,
Patriot.
No, but there were four different sets.
I,
Different envelopes.
I'm not seeing the fourth bid, right? I've read you three,
Right
right?
before.
Oh, I read you four. Okay.
Patriot, you gave us two.
Two,
And
okay.
then Peterbilt and
But I thought there were four
But then- Yeah,
envelopes.
you had four.
Yeah, one person dropped off 2 envelopes, so I think you're,
So do I have two different Mac bids? I'm
No.
not sure what happened here.
your Patriot.
I know they gave me two envelopes, is
Yes.
that what you're saying? And I read the two different bids from the
Yeah.
Patriot. Okay, so that's what we have. While we're talking, let me open it for discussion. And while we're talking, I will just review what I have in front of me to make sure I have the bids, all that were submitted to me.
Well,
Discussion.
luckily they're all under what we have budgeted for. So that's good news. Just a matter now review. I think the guys need to sit down with me, review everything. Get Christopher over there and review stuff.
So, is that what you would formally suggest is having a conversation with our road commissioner? And any other, whose else's input do you think might be useful in this
Just have the
regard?
work group take a look at it too, in case there's something there we missed.
So you'd actually take a look at the trucks or look
No,
at the
we've already been-
specs?
The specs. Patriot brought down a Western Star for the guys to look at, and I wasn't at work. And we went over to Putney because he's got 4 Macs over there, including one brand new one, which is what we have here.
Mm-hmm.
And talked to those guys, and they really like the Macs pretty well. But that's beside the point. We got to take a look at everything, see what our options are, I guess, at this point. We got to look at resale value. We got to look at life of the truck versus buying a cheap one and then constantly putting money into it. We got to look at the warranties because I don't think the warranties are included in those bids. Figure out who's got the best warranty type stuff. So usually I try to get like a 7-year warranty on these trucks, which is paid off quite a bit. I mean, it's expensive to buy them at first. It's like $10,000 more, but you figure over 10 years, $1,000 a year is pretty cheap for maintenance on a truck. When every time you take a truck into a shop, it's $1,000.
Because it's looking as though maybe that Mac might be the $10,000 more,
Right.
but if it saves that kind of repair,
What do the numbers, I saw you put writing down, Todd, what
I
are
got
they?
to look at them because I was
Okay.
trying to keep up with you and I didn't
Yeah.
keep up very well.
Okay,
Priscilla might have it. Or Sandra
so
might
what
have it.
do we
Shannon, I
have?
think, has it.
So the Patriot options are either 120, this is after the
Yeah.
thing is 129 versus 133. The Peterbilt, 137, they're two different.
With Tempo, it was
Yeah, there were
129.
Okay. And then the Mac, 151.
Right.
So it is approximately anywhere from 22,000 is the max difference from the very lowest to about 14,000 in the middle range. So we certainly want to be confident we're
Right.
getting value for that additional 14,000, but I do feel personally, then now I'm speaking for myself and not the board, that I would like it to be the best long-term deal for the town,
Right.
as opposed to thinking completely short-term.
Right.
Okay?
So, do we have an estimate on, would we have Todd go ahead and look, and then when does the decision get made, and how's it get made?
Yes, I think that's a good question. Obviously, this is a major purchase, and I would ask Todd, how much time do you feel you need to be able to really evaluate this and feel confident in your conclusion?
By next Thursday, it should be plenty of time.
Okay.
But I really want to go over these things because
Yeah,
we got stung the last time we bought a truck.
and I must say, looking at this is a little confusing as I look at some of these, because I'm looking at the thing that we sent them,
Right.
and at the back of it, I see that they've written into it what their bid is, and those numbers aren't exactly the same as what I read from reading their thing. So And
You may have to call them and find out.
so
if
you
they
may
put more
really,
fees
because
or not.
this is saying 100, and this is a different, with the trade-in, 143,333.
For
333. What is the number you came up with as their
which
With
truck?
the trade-in?
151?
This is a Mac.
For the
Yeah,
map.
this I believe is the Mac, because unfortunately what they don't say on this is they wrote on our bid, and so they didn't say which thing. This is our document, and then they said this is with and without. I guess we can see who it is. This is Freightliner, it looks like. And this is who we sent it to. So it's not clear which truck they're talking about here. So you may really have to have a conversation with them and maybe see if we can get a little more leeway.
Try to keep those separate.
So I'm trying.
Just so I'm not confused.
Because they sent me 2 copies of all this Mac Advantage, I've got 2 things here, so they may be giving us different Mac options. You really have to look at it
There
carefully.
were 2 envelopes
Can
supposed
you-
to
Yeah.
truck that.
Yeah,
Do you wanna flip?
I'm going to clip what I believe to be the Mac. I did them in order, so they should all be the Mac stuff here. But it looks like they're maybe 2 different trucks that they're offering to us, because I do see they sent us 2 sets of the Mac Advantage and Mac Governmental and Municipal, so that does suggest there are 2 different bids here. All right, we have opened them. We have, do I hear a motion to ask for Todd to seek input from the road commissioner and from any other sources that he wishes, and to review?
So moved.
Okay.
Seconded.
Is there any further discussion? All right, so this
I
is
guess I'm
all.
still
It
not
says in
clear.
Is there an envelope? Let's put it back. Is that a
Envelope,
Mac?
please.
Is there? Let's make sure it's a Mac envelope. McDevitt. Okay. And here it is, and that's McDevitt. Is there the Mac dealer?
Doesn't fit in there, that's why
Well,
there are
that's
2
why they put it
envelopes.
in 2, and they put 2 different. I think they're 2 different bids they gave
Anyway,
us.
just
Those. Let's keep those
As long
separate.
as you open the Mac.
Yeah, let's put them in the Mac folder. Here's the card. Put that there. Yeah, it's quite confusing because of the
So,
the
yeah.
writing on our bid without saying what it is. This is just our, what we sent
This is
out.
from Peterbilt, this one here.
Okay. Thank you. So that's not this one. That's here. Okay, these are very neatly. You don't even need to put it separate. You can just keep it there. And here is the Western Star. Okay, great. So thank you, Todd. We'll look forward to hearing.
So when we
your
get done with it,
report.
I'll give you a call and recommend something, and then have a special 5-minute board meeting. How's that gonna work?
You said next
Well,
Thursday.
do we need to do it in that kind of time frame? What, is there time pressure? Is there any reason we can't wait to actually purchase the truck, to authorize purchase of the truck to
When's
our
our
next meeting?
How many
It's the
weeks?
first, must be
It's
3
not
weeks.
next,
3
it's
weeks.
the
It must be
3rd of
3
May.
weeks. Right.
That just puts the truck off 3 more weeks towards winter. That's the problem. Usually it takes like 6 months to get a cab and chassis, and then it has to go to the body company.
2.
Sits
Sorry.
there for another month and a half.
2 weeks from today, May 3rd.
Oh, it's 2 weeks.
So you want a
Let's-
special meeting?
I don't know, it's up,
A quickie?
One of these give me a call and we can go over it.
okay.
And
All right,
see.
let's have a conversation.
I'll
Yeah.
ask these guys how long it's gonna take to get a truck. It's not gonna be, if they aren't worried about it being winter, then that's fine. If they are, then we should get
Then
it done.
then we'll have to call a special meeting.
Plus, the quicker we get it done, the quicker we get rid of ours, not keep putting money into it. So.
Right. Okay,
Right.
all right,
A day can make a difference.
okay.
Go ahead.
This actually came from one of the, this I believe, this came from the MAC bid. So if we could put that back into
Not that one.
the one that actually has the materials.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Can I make a procedural suggestion?
Yes,
That
sir.
when you have multiple bids, that you only open them one at a time, read them, return it to the envelope, then go to the next one, so you don't have this.
What a great
Thank you,
idea.
Gunther.
paper.
I didn't expect it to be quite this voluminous, what they were going to send us. Okay, thank you. The next is Lynch Bridge discussion. And the question, my request is to know, I put this on the agenda to know what our current status is with Lynch Bridge, because I'm not clear on it, and I don't know if other members of the board are clear on what the status
I
is.
believe I want to recuse myself from this
Okay.
discussion. I don't know if you want me to leave the table, the room, you know, what your...
Well, we could, that actually comes to the issue of our conflict of interest
That's right,
discussion.
that's coming up, yeah.
But for this moment, I think in terms of this, I don't see any necessity for you to leave the room. I think you should not participate in the discussion, would be but it actually is the person who's recusing themselves who has the responsibility to decide what the appropriate action is.
Yes, I feel I just won't have anything to do with it. I can sit here and listen as a public person,
Right.
but...
Okay.
And maybe, Chris, you could identify to other people who are here why.
Due to business conflict.
Okay. But in this case, all I'm really asking for is an update on where we currently stand. And Shannon, do you have any information on where we stand with the Lynch Bridge buyout situation?
Sort of, not really. We let FEMA know that it's definitely a priority at this point.
They have in their possession alternative or New York State and Vermont methods for conceptually estimating the bridge cost to replace what was there.
Mm-hmm. So we're one of the things we're waiting for is to find out what FEMA says to us as far as what they're
Yeah,
proposing,
I mean,
essentially.
yeah, if you ask them on one day, they say it's not possible to buy the property, and then if you ask them the next day, they say, well, no, but, you know, if you put it in the funds in your general fund, you can do whatever you want with it. Well,
It is, I've heard that too, how it can all work out, but you can't identify it as a buyout with the FEMA money. The FEMA money that needs to come into your general fund, then the board's gotta decide what to do with the general, once it becomes a general fund, what to do with that money, and then you go buy the property.
That's from the bridge?
Huh?
That money would be coming just from the bridge, and then we buy the place out, is that what we're doing?
There's gonna be some kind of amount of money that's gonna be probably in a value that would equal a certain percentage of a new bridge, and hopefully it's high enough to absorb the cost of purchasing that property.
So if I understand what you're saying correctly, you're saying that FEMA will say, once they evaluate the situation, which they have not completely done yet, we've not gotten anything official, they will say, we will pay, I'm making the number up, make it clear I'm making it up, $2 million to repair this bridge, $1,500,000 to repair the bridge.
to
And
not repair it.
Well, they aren't saying what, will they say to not repair? They'll just say, the cost of repair is X dollars, and we're granting you that money regardless of what you do?
Yeah, I provided them the methods and the estimates to replace that bridge.
Okay.
They're gonna have a bridge specialist in their FEMA agency.
Okay.
And make sure that's a fair
So
assessment.
have you provided that already, Dan?
Right, right.
So you provided them what is our estimate? Approximately.
Geez, I thought it was 600. By the time you have engineering services, construction, permitting,
Approximately $1 million, is that?
no, 600 I thought it was.
Oh, you're saying 600, okay,
replace
including
the bridge.
everything.
Yeah, I
To
thought that.
put the new bridge up here.
600.
So we've given that number to FEMA, and now we're waiting back to hear back from FEMA
Right.
whether they accept that number or not.
Well, no,
No.
but in the end, it's really up to the board. If the board says, we're putting a new bridge in, then FEMA has to pay 75% of that. It's really the board that makes that decision. If the board says, we don't want to do that, we want to do this alternative thing, then they'll go with that. But it has to be your decision.
Yeah, FEMA's going to be looking for you guys.
So they're sort of waiting for the board to make their solid decision.
I'm now wonderfully confused. So, now I'm gonna try to say back what I think is being said from the two of you. FEMA is waiting for us, that is the select board, to say, we need to replace a bridge that was destroyed, and we want, and it would cost, the estimate is $600,000. Or to come back and say, we think the best solution is to buy the property, and we are willing to offer the landowner X $1,000 for the property.
Yes, without
One
saying
or
that
the
last
other.
Saying it.
sentence.
Say it again?
Without saying that last part of the sentence, you
Which was the last part of the sentence?
buying the property, you don't say that to them.
You can say acquired, but we can't say buy. What would we be saying?
You would say, we are not putting the bridge in,
Okay,
please give us that money for an alternative project, which you have to identify. Like, he used the example of, which we don't have a municipal fire department, but say we were trying to buy a fire truck. You could use that money for that.
So we could theoretically take that money and buy another town truck,
Yeah,
or a rubber-tired excavator,
or
or
knock this building down.
but I don't think FEMA would be, we've got to tell FEMA what we want to do. This is what's confusing.
You have to have a plan in place of what you want to do with the money. Once you get the money, they
You
don't
can
have to be-
actually do, I
You don't
understand,
care, they don't care what you do, but you at least have to have a plan of what you want to do with it.
but what would be a conceivably acceptable plan to FEMA other than building a bridge?
Anything, purchasing equipment, fixing
But it has to
the
be
town
relative,
office.
that doesn't make sense.
It has to be something that will benefit the town.
That's what didn't make sense. They wanted to hear everything, but if I remember.
This makes no sense to me,
No, it
I have to
doesn't.
tell you.
And now you know why we've gotten nowhere.
Would it
Why don't
be
you
useful for
invite
me to
the-
talk to FEMA, or is this a bad idea?
Give it a shot, we've tried.
So basically what the town really needs to do now is probably come up with, okay, we're gonna get $400,000.
Right,
This is what we wanna spend that $400,000 on
right.
for equipment, or for whatever.
New town hall.
Wait, I'm very confused.
FEMA
I
doesn't
thought-
want to hear that the money's gonna be used for a purchase.
Isn't there a house on the other side of this bridge?
Yes.
Yes,
So, and people own that house, correct?
yes.
And how much land is there?
22 acres,
Yeah.
something like
But
that.
that's what's very confusing.
So,
Go ahead.
I would think that the only thing that makes sense to me so far that has been said is that you said that it's 600,000 your estimate to replace the bridge.
Mhm.
There's one house that is that's the access for. There's no other way to get to the house except for that bridge,
Right.
right? So FEMA would pay up to 25%. 75%. So the town would have to pay the 150,000 to complete the project?
But we would get some from the state. on
Some
that
from the
first.
Yeah,
state.
15%. So you have to pay 10% in the end.
So
Right.
we end up paying
So
But-
maybe,
15.
so, okay. I mean, and then there's this whole other thing about,
60,000 the town would pay.
so this whole other thing about I don't even understand why we're talking about using the money for something else.
Well,
That's a FEMA rule that we just learned with the replacement guy that just came last month.
and what did he say?
That was the first we heard about. He doesn't want to hear how the funds will be used to.
But don't we have to put an alternative, when you say an alternative project, if we say to FEMA, let me just try. I could say to them, number one, we've done the estimate, it's gonna cost 600 grand, we want FEMA to kick in the 400 grand, let's say. That's what we've done with other projects. But they want receipts and proof, and we actually would have to do exactly that.
Exactly, yes.
Now, they seem to have opened this notion of an alternative project, which we've been discussing on and off, which would be, in fact, would be that we would pay some money to the homeowner, so that, I understand FEMA doesn't want to hear from them. What do they want to hear? What would they find as an acceptable alternative in this situation?
He mentioned new firehouse, new fire trucks, general purchase, capital improvements, equipment.
You mean we could
Get the
say,
money, and then he says what you do with it in your general fund, you know, FEMA's out of the picture then.
so we could say to FEMA,
That's the way I
we to solve this problem of this home, we need 600 grand for the bridge. But what we are proposing instead is that you give us the 600 or some other, your 400,000 for some other purpose, which we do need to identify or we don't need to identify.
You need to have a plan of what you would like to do with it.
A wish list or
A wish list of what the town would do with it, and then it's our problem to deal with the homeowner or the bridge.
And what has the homeowner sent in any information that we haven't seen? I know he came one time to the previous select board.
Right, I remember that.
He emailed me yesterday just to see, you know, if we were talking about it, and I said, well, actually, yes.
And what sense did you
And
get from him
that's
about
fine. He just didn't want
what
to be
he
forgotten.
wants?
Well, I think at this point he either wants to sell the property and get out from underneath it, or have a bridge.
Or have a bridge, yeah, which is reasonable.
The problem is the house and the property is worth $150,000.
All right, can we put this on hold for now? I just wanted to get a basic take on it, and I will seek further information from you and from Dan and possibly talk to FEMA to get, just to hear myself how they put it. Is that acceptable to people?
It seems so silly. I mean, what a silly rule.
I just wanted to-
Well, it's FEMA after all.
Well, I
I
know,
think there's a,
I'm hearing on the street that FEMA is only reimbursing to replace the spans of the prior bridge, and now there might be a requirement for a longer, higher bridge. So that might be that should be a discussion point.
excuse me, to state that again.
Say Lynch Bridge was 85 feet long,
Right,
but now you need 110.
okay.
I'm hearing around the state that FEMA is only reimbursing to replace an 85-foot structure. Anything up and above what was there in length or width is an additional cost. They're looking at it where they don't feel they should reimburse that dollar.
In other
I
words,
don't know
they're
if that's
replacing what was
factored.
there.
I mean, I think we've been clear for a while that it makes more sense
Yeah.
to essentially buy the property than build the bridge. I think we've had that sense for a long time. The problem is how FEMA's putting it is so vague, and what they would actually accept versus, and we have this problem that one FEMA person says one thing and the next FEMA person says something slightly different, and then at the end of the day, it's got to not only come in, but it's also got to survive a FEMA audit 4 or 5 years from now, or we're setting up a future board for problems.
Right. We went to the BCA training back in Rutland, Vermont. and
Yeah, I did myself.
It sounded so simple, alternative project. Well,
Yeah.
the new gentleman that came in about a month ago, he's given us some new rules we never heard of. You know.
So we need to understand more about this. All right, so I'm going to table it for now. I really just put it on there to get everybody more or less on the same confused page.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Of
Who's
course.
responsible for the house right now? I mean, you can't get to it?
No, you
You
can't.
can if you walk, but
If you walk to the river, but that's the only way you're gonna get to it.
Okay.
Right now, it's pretty much almost like it's been condemned because you can't get there from here.
Yeah.
Can we have the GSA arrange a tug party between the town and the and the FEMA?
The problem with that house is that I imagine that guy's still paying taxes on that place, and he's got an unusable
I
piece
know
of
they've
property.
been abated, but not completely.
Mhm.
I mean, it seems
Right.
sort of...
We really need to resolve it.
Yeah,
but
it seems like
let's see
we've
if we
gotta
can
come
get
up with
some.
something
I will
quickly.
definitely talk to you guys and talk to FEMA and try to see if we can get some clarity by the next meeting.
John, when we table something, don't we need to have a time to bring it back up? Is
I'm
it a-
saying by the next meeting,
Okay.
the next meeting. Okay, thank you. Next is unscheduled members of the public. We do not have any on the agenda scheduled members of the public. Are there unscheduled of the members of the public who'd like to speak with us?
Mike
Yeah,
Sosman.
pardon me.
I'm George Friend, Animal Control
Oh, George.
Officer
Now I see George
in
Friend.
town. Well,
Welcome.
I'm going to be Animal Control Officer again.
Are those appointments?
They are. The reason I wanted a little bit of time to talk to you is because I see the budget is
Now you can
completely
say you're animal control.
empty from the animal control budget, and I would like to get some equipment. Basically, something to catch dogs with and something to put a dog in after we catch a dog. Those two seem to me to be a priority. Other than that, everything else, maybe a truck, but I see that's a big issue.
We've got a couple of kids here.
But those two things would be about $300.
Shannon, didn't you
We
say we
found
had?
money, 400, didn't we?
I heard rumor.
Yeah.
I thought we did
Yeah,
find a
yeah.
budget line item for
I
that.
think there was gonna be, between the two, that like a total of $700.
I was thinking 8, so, okay, we're getting close.
Might get a truck after all.
Keep going, yeah.
Well, don't tell them you're saying
So,
it's in the budget.
What would be the process for me to access that?
fire company's cost.
I think if you would just make a request for the specifically what you need, and we would just authorize it. It's that
Okay.
simple.
And do that through the select board?
Yeah, and then,
And you know where to purchase it?
I know of a place
Animal
that we can
control.
purchase it, yeah.
Okay, then I can just give you
$800.
a purchase order.
Okay.
And you can go and get.
yeah, if it's in the budget, that's right. You
So,
don't need it,
George,
we don't need to.
In the
Specific.
budget for expenses is 400,
Which budget are you looking at?
animal control.
But which year?
Fiscal year 2012 looks
That
like
doesn't start until
No.
June.
Okay, so we've got
13.
How about
That
11?
page is
If we
your
have anything
budget.
left in the
220.
11
A little
budget.
bit that's been
220.
No, you currently.
We
More
would need to
wages.
look at Maureen's, let me just see what the latest I have. No, that's, what I wanna see is the
Audit?
latest.
these things here.
No, yes, that
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
What's the latest in that line item for the last year's budget? That's what we have to see.
So starting in June, he could,
Right.
I mean, July 1st.
July 1st. If worst came to worst, George, you could have it July 1st, but we're gonna see if there's money in the current year.
I thought there might be some
There
over.
might well be, I don't think we spent anything.
We sort of
Here,
have
it
several
is $214 right now, right?
Is that what it says?
So we've got actual, budgeted,
And
Where's the latest?
what's
that?
Yeah, I did just read the budget, and it looks like there is a little bit of money left over in there.
If there's money currently, which I would believe there would be, because I don't think we spent, I can't remember our spending money.
Jesus explained
It's
something.
not what was
Yeah, the
budgeted.
problem is that
That's
every
not
time a
what
cat or dog goes to the
Oh,
wayside,
okay,
it
that comes out of that.
It really needs its own line item so that his
Oh.
funds don't get taken.
Okay, so
That's why
next
it's only
budget.
showing like 214 left. So it says.
Which
And
one?
I thought you guys found 2 line items that
There should
refer.
be 3.
There are 3.
There are 3.
Wages, the pound keeping, and expenses.
And expenses, yeah. So I guess expenses would be the equipment.
And
Yeah.
what's left is
Right.
214 in the
Total.
equipment.
For the total.
214, 20, yeah, total. That's actual spent, what's left
But
is
that's not, I mean, what was budgeted for last year,
800.
no,
No, like
was
that.
$350 total. This year, for 2012, it's 800.
What you have left, at least in March, which is the last one I have,
Yeah.
you had $585 left.
Oh, so the negative refers to
To the positive, yeah.
the positive. Okay, that's a little confusing.
So we have 580, oh, that makes
585.
sense, from
Yeah,
800
right.
to
So it
214.
seems
Okay.
So that sounds good, so all you need is a purchase order.
Yep.
And we're totally good with it. Okay, thank you, George.
So
And
Lonnie
George,
is
And you saw what happened in Brattleboro with them shooting those dogs, don't go shooting them.
Can't make promises.
different.
Did somebody say it for it?
yeah, just before you go, we thought of having you come, especially because we're looking at the animal nuisance. Did you?
Ordinance.
the
You know, if you could
ordinance?
stick around, the next topic on the agenda is actually the animal,
Especially since you
Or-
probably.
I'll go grab my copy and I'll come back in.
Great, terrific. There may be other unscheduled members of the public before we get to it, so that'd be perfect. Other unscheduled members of the public.
This is what it
So,
was budgeted.
Mr. Sarasam, right?
Sir.
Sir Sarasam. I got the sir. I'm trying, I got this.
Sorry.
It's her sauce.
I talked to Shannon today, and she wasn't sure that there was much for us to talk about. But you've got a letter from us. I
Yes.
think maybe it's on the agenda.
Well, it's in correspondence, that's,
Okay.
so, but since you're here, there's no reason why you can't speak to that now. Here you are. Would you like me to read your letter, or would you like to just speak to the issue yourself?
Perhaps you should read the letter.
Okay. As you are aware, Sasamo Industries, Inc. began operations at Adams Hill Quarry in October 2011 under requirements set forth by the Natural Resources Board's post-Irene emergency protocol, gravel and rockfill. Approval was granted through the Springfield Regional Office. The facility was established and operated through the winter in order to facilitate recovery throughout the town, including the stabilization of Adams Hill Road itself. The NRB then issued the updated post-Irene, etc., and this updated protocol established a November 15th, 2011 final reclamation date for such operations. All future operations of the new facilities, like the one on Adams Hill, would need to be fully permitted through the normal procedures. At that time, the town worked directly with April Hensel to receive approval to continue operations through the winter shutdown. It is our understanding that the extension was granted, but that it was specific to materials for Adams Hill Road only. At this time, CII would like to reopen the facility in support of ongoing recovery in Newfane and in the surrounding towns. State permitting procedures will require a land use permit from Act 250, a multi-sector general permit, and an individual construction stormwater discharge permit, both from the Stormwater Division of the Agency of Natural Resources. We will soon be going before the Development Review Board for their review and approval. Upon completion of that process, we will apply to the Act 250's Commission for a land use permit. At this time, we are looking for the Select Board support of reopening the facility and completion of the Act 250 Municipal Impact Questionnaire. That's something we would have to fill out when you say completion of the MIQ. You're not sure?
I can't answer that for you.
What?
I honestly can't answer
Okay.
that for you.
All right. It seems that you're asking us to do it. I don't know what it is. So,
You and me both.
okay. And you can be reached, or this is the project engineer for it, Sarah Daniels, who
That's
wrote the
correct.
letter. Okay. So, do you want to speak to this? Is it Mike? What's your first name?
Mike, Michael, either one. I'm really just here in case you had any questions
Okay.
about it. Really, I didn't expect to come here today. What we did was we had talked to a variety of people about where I should be going next, whether it's the DRB or whom I should be speaking with. So I believe is it Katie?
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe Sarah talked with Katie, and that gave Sarah the impression that I really needed to get back to the town and be available to answer questions. Obviously, Katie's not part of the select board. It's a different operation.
Right.
I did talk to Shannon today, and I forget who she suggested that I called, but I called Shannon right there.
Yeah, I'm here. I suggested you call Tristan Johnson.
Correct, and he basically put me back to Kate. So
It's not really the planning board's responsibility. It is the DRB's, which and so the DRB is definitely the appropriate board for review.
Okay.
But essentially, at least according to this letter, you would like the select board to be supportive of your request. And so that's what I see.
Yeah.
That's what's asked by the letter in any case.
And I think, and I'm not exactly sure how the procedure works, but I think that if you contact the state and say that there's a couple projects in which this particular quarry could help finish up, much in the manner that we finished up the Adams Hill project, we may have some leeway to continue an operation there that could benefit not only the town of Newfane, but perhaps the town of Dover or Marlborough, people that have specific needs due to leftover repairs from Irene.
I see.
If none of that happens, we can't do anything in that quarry until we get a full-blown permit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, now we've said, look, you wanna haul in materials, from the bottom of Adams Hill back into the pit, the rock product back into the pit, go ahead. We don't have a problem with that. It's an easy thing for the town and the contractor doing the work. But it does get a little bit strange because I don't have a operational permit there. So I'm coming to you saying, what do we do here?
And you were talking before about cleaning it up. You can't clean it up either, what you were earlier referring to?
My understanding would be that I don't have an operation there right now.
So you can't even
It's sitting there.
do
waiting.
what you thought you were going to.
Right,
Okay.
and we would like to work with the town and the state to get a permit to operate that quarry on a, let's say, as-needed basis, not necessarily open Monday through Friday, but something that could be coordinated with the town, for emergencies or for specific town projects or a surrounding town specific project that we could coordinate with you and say, look, we'd like to do this project during this period of time so we can have, proper operation of that quarry on that particular road. But that's going to take some time to get. That's not going to happen overnight. So we definitely want your support with that. And then in the meantime, some support to either continue to be able to operate on projects that you have an immediate need for, and then to get in there and kind of do some cleanup.
Is the road a concern?
Adams Hill Road,
Yeah.
it's narrow, but they've been doing it for quite a while now for the Adams Hill project. It's one of those deals where the trucks are just going to have to go slow. And the trucks that will be hauling out of there now will be much smaller than what was hauling out of there. They had regular Euclids going in and out of there for a while. They took up the whole road. Now we're talking single axle, maybe tandems going up and down there, which log trucks go up and down there now. Fuel trucks go up and down it, and they're no wider or less wide than the other truck would be. It'd just be a matter of, we could post it right at his quarry that, 25 miles an hour or whatever, down Adams Hill Road or whatever, to keep the traffic slow.
Isn't it supposed to, is an automatic one?
No.
What is
35 unless
35
otherwise
on the posted?
Myself, of course, being road foreman, I would support being able to use that stuff up there. We've got Hunter Brook that's gonna take quite a bit of it, wouldn't it, Dan? You haven't been up there with me yet, I guess, but there's places that we don't need huge riprap, but we need something to stabilize the banks with. And if we could actually get a crusher in there, crushing that down, it'd be really good to put on Hunter Brook for a base. Probably Penner Road too, places. And if some of the other towns could benefit from this, it'd be a good thing for the other towns too.
We had asked, I think at the last meeting of discussion, there's very few of these pits around, so, trucking from Vernon or from
Right.
Jamaica, the longer length of trucking is starting to get to be an issue too, because the cost factors are gonna be, the higher the diesel and gas, the
Right.
cost factors are gonna really go up,
Plus, the
so.
nice thing about it is on the other side of the covered bridge.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly,
So you got all the roads between the covered bridge and there.
yeah,
And you've got Dover's roads, and Marlboro connects to Dover through different ways.
right,
I'd kind of like to see us support it for two reasons, not only just for the town of Newfane, but to help the other towns out that we work with too, if they can use it and we can get this pit cleaned up for them. It's not right, to me it's not right to have them go blast all that stuff up
I
there
know.
and then turn around and tell them, oh, sorry, you got a mess, you
Yeah.
deal with it. That's not the right thing to do, I don't think.
Is it
Well,
possible?
no, it's okay, go ahead, Priscilla.
Is it possible to guess how long a permit would take? Is it conceivable that this summer you could get in there?
I really could not speculate on that. I've had permits in months, and I've had permits in 3 years.
Really?
And another thing, I always thought that he needed to apply for a zoning permit, and that automatically gets denied, and then it goes to the DRB. I mean, I get,
Well, that may be the case.
yeah, so it's kind of a funny thing, but I do think
Yes.
that's the procedure.
When
That is
Katie
right.
was zoning,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's probably.
she would, you'd fill it out.
we
and-
had her very,
Confused.
Yeah, well,
She
we
said
don't
something
do
to me.
this every day with them.
Said something to me about it yesterday, and I said, probably the thing to do is get Sarah up here. Have Katie sit there, maybe Dan and Shannon.
Well, the problem is that Katie doesn't believe you need a zoning permit, so she keeps sending them away, saying, no, it has nothing to do with me. And then that's why I said, just go to Tristram and see if you can.
I see.
I would recommend that David Cotton be contacted, actually.
He's the DRB.
From
He's the chair.
From
Is
the
he
good
the
old
chair?
days when the planning commission, when I was on the planning commission, what he has to do, whether Katie likes it or not, ask for a ask her for a permit,
Right.
which by definition she rejects and forwards to the DRB.
Yeah.
Right.
At that point, the DRB calls hearings.
Yeah.
At these hearings, all the abutters going to bitch and moan or like it and to testify, and the select board at that time expresses their desire of having this thing work.
So
In the
did-
meantime, you gotta get somebody in your outfit that does 250s, or know somebody who knows somebody, so it goes a
Person who
little
wrote this
faster.
letter.
And do because right now you don't have a permit to do anything, right?
my understanding is
By
that we don't have a
definition.
permit right now to
Yeah.
do anything there.
So could we make a motion that the select board is behind this? And because there's still a whole process that needs to take place. I'd make a motion that we are behind him. We'll give you that, whatever it is, to go ahead and take the next steps.
So there's been a motion has been made to express our support. Is there a second to that? Now, the only thing I would say as a bit of a proviso, there are two things I would want to see defined. One is surrounding towns, because we could mean abutting towns. We could mean, well, Connecticut's isn't that far. I want it to be clear. And the second is some kind of time frame, once you get the permit, of how long we're keeping, how long this is going to be an active permit. I'm sure the landowners in that area are going to be concerned about
Yeah,
that.
that's all gonna come up
And
through
so
the process.
those would be two things I would really want to see before I'd feel super comfortable with it. Does certainly sound from the sense of the board that it's something we're positive about. I would definitely want to see things. I think experience this as a little premature because we don't know the details. We know some from you, but there are others who have expressed already that they think it's a good idea. So I'm not, I'm speaking now not for the board but for myself. So is there further discussion on the motion that's on the?
I do have one last question. When you did this emergency blast so that you could get us what we needed here, thank you, was there a contingency built into that said we have to do this cleanup, or were we just going to leave your blasting site a big rubble?
I think it was inferred that we were going to help them try to clean up the mess.
That's what I understood.
What do you mean we meaning the road crew? We meaning
The town.
In what way we were going to help?
That we would support him until this is cleaned up. He had a piece of property there that was a pretty good piece of property, pretty nice piece of property before. He opened it all up, and now it's a mound of rubble sitting there,
Yeah.
basically.
Right.
And
Who
for him
did
to get
Sarasimo?
Sarasimo.
Sarasimo had the
for
property.
him to get stuck with it now is, to me,
Well, yeah, that's sort of one of the other things that I think that we, so when we go through this process, I think if that's the case, then I would say that the board needs to support at least that much, and maybe if the state or the people have a problem, maybe we need to go in and kind of help explain that process.
Yeah, okay. So it does seem that would the maker of the motion accept a friendly emotion to say that we would, as long as it's clarified surrounding towns means like Marlboro, and who else would people consider surrounding towns that might?
Dover, Wardsboro.
Dover, Wardsboro, anybody else?
But does it,
The immediate Wyndham
The
County.
immediate-
Which is just
Yeah.
do we need to restrict it that way though?
Well, no, if it's questionable, I can leave it.
That's, again, I think
could be
that,
something for the DRB to
I don't know
Yeah.
how
Or the
familiar
state.
you are with the Act 250 process. It's pretty concise.
Mhm.
All of that is, it will be, in the process, you will have the opportunity to,
It's only going
Well-
to be valuable to the very surrounding neighboring
Right.
Okay.
towns
Mhm.
anyway. If we weren't on this side of the bridge with that project, I wouldn't even be sitting here.
Mhm.
But I understand that there's a value there because you can't get around to that side from a big
Okay.
quarry. So it's valuable to those towns because the quarry's on the other side of the bridge.
Right.
And I mean, I'm certainly agree with Todd on the notion that cleanup should be, you should be allowed to complete the process. My only concern is and not even in this instance at all, but in previous instances, there have been quarries and some people really have gone crazy about it, and I don't want a big foo-for-ah, and that we are on record of saying we're in favor of it, and we don't know, we haven't heard from the landowners, we don't, around there, we don't know. So, anyway, but the motion's on the table, we've discussed it, is there any further discussion?
Yeah, one point, what form is this going to take? Is this going to come as a letter? I'm just, we can just put it into the minutes and,
do you need something?
I came unprepared to answer the question you asked me, which is the last line
About the
on that,
MIQ?
which is whether or not that's something you can fill out that could possibly be asking us for an extension of the emergency operating procedure.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's what that is, but if there's any way to do that, that's probably what I'm here saying is this permit's gonna take a while to get.
Mm-hmm.
You have some immediate needs. We have material on the ground, and between the state and the town, we basically have come to an agreement that we stopped after Adams Hill. Now, Adams Hill is actually being rebid as a project, just did, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
There are some other projects that are in a similar situation, and maybe Dan could address this, that are being bid out or have been bid out that may be able to benefit from the rock that's already on
I
the
see.
ground there.
Right.
Not
Okay.
even doing additional blasting necessarily.
So maybe we could add to this motion that we would produce a letter and asking the state to, at the very least, extend the emergency permit to allow you to continue doing what you're doing and to clean up what's there.
I think that would be helpful.
And how long a span do you think we should be asking for?
Don't.
just try to
Just
let
leave
go.
it,
Don't put a
leave
time
it, and we're, in this case, we're just a friendly letter, so we don't, okay. So, the motion then is to express our support and to, go forward with the process and to help, if there is a form to be completed asking for an extension of the emergency use, that we would agree to do that. Is that the motion that's, roughly the motion that's on the table?
It's sort of different actually than what I was
Okay,
thinking,
well-
but because we're kind of talking about two things now. We're talking about the possibility of going through the Act 250 permitting process or this, reopening it, extending or whatever for the cleanup, but
Or both? We're really saying both, in a
I
way.
think it's possible that if we do this extension for emergency, what's effectively gonna happen is you're gonna begin some cleanup. Obviously, that's what will occur. I think that it would necessarily go into an Act 250 permit no matter what you did, and then if there's brouhaha, there's gonna be brouhaha, people, if they're
Yeah.
upset.
well, maybe the point is that we will support whatever the next steps are that you have to take to. It seems like it's not even clearly defined what you're going to go for. And I don't know, but
Do you mean
I'd
of
say
the
like
Act, do you mean
well-
of the Act 250 or
Or
trying to
extending
get
the
the?
cleanup,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Todd and Dan, wasn't it, you said November, they changed that emergency?
That's what the letters.
So, but,
To extend, they let us work through the winter, and then after that, everything had to stop till he or we got permits to continue.
so they were given a special dispensation, let's say, for that winter work on Adams Hill Road.
Right. It was the same thing with the rivers.
Yeah.
We were allowed to work into the rivers until the construction season started, so now we have to get permits to work in the rivers again.
Shannon, do you have my original motion? I think we should just stick with that.
Yeah, the motion was made by Priscilla Cotton to express the board's support for Susasmo moving forward with the Act 250 process.
Oh. Or,
And
Yes.
extension of the emergency operating permit. Let's leave the MIQ till we know more what it is. That would seem reasonable.
But again, we need to be looking into that to
Yeah.
see if it's,
I'm sure they'll
Something
get back to us with that.
Sarah can actually fax that up to Shannon tomorrow, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, Sarah would have liked to be here tonight, but she had a prior commitment.
Okay. Okay. Is there a further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of this motion?
aye.
And I'm going to abstain in the not knowing quite enough about what's going on. Okay, moving on. The motion is passed.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. The animal nuisance ordinance. So, thank you for coming back, George. We had put on the docket, and just so you know, the members of the community, we're trying to review all of our ordinances and policies over the course of the year. This is the first that we're looking at, okay? And so it is now, I'm opening the floor for discussion. Each of the members have had an opportunity to read these ordinance, and George, I'm sure you're familiar with it. So the discussion is open. I'm going to, hopefully we could limit this discussion to 10 minutes, and whatever people might have, if people are willing. We are not necessarily looking to change anything unless there is a specific need to change something. We just are reviewing.
I was a bit
Floor is
curious.
open.
Yeah, I was a bit curious on page 1. It says, "And the charter of the town of Newfane." We're not a chartered town, are we?
Yes,
We are chartered, and we have a charter.
yes, it's very small, but we do have one.
Do you have a copy of that,
Yeah,
Shannon?
it's gonna
Really,
say.
that's news to me.
It's actually in your statutes.
Because usually
Okay.
charter towns are run differently, my understanding. Anyway,
Where is it, Shannon?
In
the
the
statute.
it tells,
Okay.
it tells us right there, statute and page, okay.
Well, we should certainly look at it. Shannon, could you put on could we look at the charter for next meeting, on our next meeting's agenda?
Okay.
Just so that we're familiar with this. I was not clear we had a charter. Okay. Other discussion items on the animal ordinance?
Letter D, I'm not sure, this was done in other words, this certified copy, that kind of thing, I'm not sure that that's been done. I haven't been able to track anything in our town. We have a town book that's not just the land records that this gets put into, so with D, it's filing of the ordinance with a certified copy, and what does certified mean?
Well, of any additions or amendments,
Yeah.
I don't know if there haven't been necessarily any additions or amendments to the ordinance.
Right, they may have though. I found it interesting too on page 2 where it says the definition of an animal control officer is the Newfane Health Officer, Newfane Deputy Health Officer, Newfane Town Constable, Vermont State Police, Windham County Sheriff, any Windham County Sheriff or any individual appointed by the Select Board. I thought, Yeah, but I thought if, when they, you know, we appointed the animal control officer, and I didn't realize that they were,
I actually, you see on the back, I think Pete Manlone and I did this, went over this back in 2004. And I think that a lot of this actually, I mean, came out of,
VLCT.
yes.
Yeah. And it also says, it actually says or, so as long as we appoint someone, that's the
Right,
person.
but it's also, there are times when other people, like the sheriff,
Right.
or a trooper, or whoever, are picking up these animals.
Yeah.
And so, at the time,
Okay.
yeah, it's just curious.
okay. It's all very familiar when I
Yeah, I'm
started
sure it
reading
is.
it.
George, I just ask you, is there anything in this that gives you pause?
No, I don't have any problem with any of it so far.
And it kind of authorizes you to do what you need to do?
Plenty of authority to do whatever I
Great.
take an animal, whatever I need to do, so.
Any other discussion on this ordinance? Hearing none, I see Chris
no.
starting to say something. No, hearing none, I'm gonna just pass on to the next order of business. We have a lot to go on. Thank you very much for your...
Do we want to make a motion to approve this?
We don't need to.
Okay.
It's an
Okay.
ordinance. Unless we're gonna change it, we don't have to.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda, please, I need order, is to the review of the conflict of interest policy. All I wanted to do was schedule a discussion here, and just to put it, to make people aware that we'll talk about it next time. It was brought up when we were meeting to kind of the special meeting, and I don't want to lose it.
Okay.
But I really just want to schedule it for next time. I don't intend to discuss it. And I don't know if we need a long discussion on it, but I do suggest people take a look, if they are interested in this, to take a look at what VLCT has put out. It's on their website. It's in the manual. One should be careful with the manual that you have to much up to date. Chris, what is the date on your manual?
On my
I
manual,
see
mine
you
is
have it
not
there.
up to date, I don't
Yeah.
think.
So just look on the website if you want to be sure.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
they did point out, I did talk to them at VLCT, and they said, you know, do you have them, one thing is be sure you have the most up to date. So I'm simply making people aware of that,
Okay.
and that's all. Okay? Next is the Hunter Bridge RFP. And Dan, maybe you want to address this? Dan?
The Hunter Brook RFP that I
Hunter
gave you
Brook?
a copy of there, and I
Yes.
emailed it.
It is, by the way, Hunter Brook, I believe, not Hunters. At least Google thinks it's Hunter Brook. Do we think it's Hunter Brook? What do you think it is? Just Hunter Brook.
Okay.
Just so when we do the RFP, take off the apostrophe S.
What I want to do is,
Change.
I want to solicit the design engineering services from, there's a lot of information in there where the select board needs to be involved with decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to bring that to your attention right now, so there's no surprises in the future if I'm not around.
You'll be good. There's 13 pages to look at. I read it. I don't see a problem with it.
Good. Good. It looked good to me. Looked like very thorough
I
and
think the
hit
sooner
all
we
the
get this
points.
bridge into works, the quicker we can
Absolutely.
solve a lot of problems.
Absolutely. All right, so that's it.
So you're gonna send this out right off, or how do you
I'd
send it
like
out?
to do it tomorrow, yes.
Do we need a motion to that effect, or can we just, I think we probably do.
No, he just wanted to make sure he wasn't saying anything before.
But if he's sending out an RFP, we probably need to, can we have a motion to instruct Dan to send out the RFP to appropriate bidders
So
For
moved.
Hunter Brook Bridge.
for Hunter Brook Bridge?
So moved.
Okay.
Seconded by Tom.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay. The lost pet link is I got a note from Dennis Wiswall. He's gone but not forgotten about a pet getting, a woman coming in with a stray dog, and it was a Sunday, and he said, well, it'd be nice if there was something on the website that direct a link.
So actually, 2 dogs. There's one up by your house that got loose, and he was running down West Street yesterday. It's a Greyhound. Looks like a Greyhound.
Oh, yeah, he was
It's in
running
Townsend
down
now.
Route 30 at noon.
Where's our animal control officer?
Well, this is,
can't catch
came
him.
from what?
It's
Come
Kevin
to-
Deanna's, right?
Slow down.
Okay, so,
George twice spent the afternoon trying to track.
now, Gloria, are you kind of
I
maintaining
am.
the site? Could you
So
put
what
that
do we-
link, could you put a link or something to let them know where what they're supposed to do if the,
This particular woman found a dog on Back Street, a little fur ball. And she came into my mother's service and wanted to know if anybody knew where it was from. Of course, we didn't. That's where this started from, I think.
Okay.
She wanted to know how
so
she.
the lost pet, could we have like a little lost pet there, that somebody could put their phone number or whatever on there?
Maybe sometimes when there's nothing really on the sandwich board to go up, you could just say, check the,
Yeah, that's
remember
what I
to
was thinking.
check the town
Okay.
website.
But that would just be, okay? Thank you. The next is questions for the town treasurer, and basically I have those from our little, the special meeting, and now this got sort of, yeah. So this has several questions, which I did list in the minutes, and if there's no
Yeah.
objection, I'll formalize those into a note to Maureen saying these are the questions we'd like you to answer. Quincy can come to the next meeting or a subsequent meeting so that we get those answered.
I don't think we need a motion on that, do we?
I don't think so, no.
No, I think that's
Okay.
great.
Moving on, we did say that we would do a comparative salary and wage analysis this select board. In other words, last select board,
At the town meeting.
when we did our budget, we did see that there was some need to see how our wages stack up versus other towns in Vermont. And we said that we would take a look at it to see if we're, so that by the next budget process, we can have something to go on in terms of how we stack up. So I'm putting it out to the select board. How would you like to go about doing that?
And neither Todd nor I could.
Right, neither Todd nor Gloria can participate in this.
So is it something that maybe Chris and I need to do?
It was just done
Sounds
last
good to
year.
me.
No,
It wasn't done last
at,
year.
at the budget meeting,
Mm-hmm.
we became aware that, I brought in some materials from every year, there's a booklet that comes out.
Shannon.
And Shannon has it, and then, we said, but, are the road crew really compensated to the same degree as other communities? And that's why, in fact, there was a difference of what was asked for, which would have been like a 3.5%, but across the board it was a 5% increase. And so at that point, we said that, and then it was echoed at the town meeting, that we really need to get this studied to find out, are we just,
I think you and I could be part of it, but we can't vote on it. I
exactly.
mean, if they wanted more members on board, on the committee.
Well, I don't think that we need a lot of,
I think it.
I mean, it's
yeah.
I think if
basically
you went
just
through
sort
the
of
book
coming
that
up with a,
Shannon has with,
Yeah.
but you gotta compare, you can't compare Newfane to Burlington. You gotta compare Newfane with Townsend.
comparables.
Right.
Yeah,
What we have for
Commercial.
employees, what we
Sure.
have for guys on the road crew, what we have for town clerk,
sure.
and all that stuff. You can't just go and say, well, Burlington's making $31 an hour, and so that's what we want. I mean, you gotta, that's what Greg Ricker did, and Greg could probably help you with a lot of that, because he did a pretty good study on that one year. Back when he was on the board, he told me just that they compared apples to apples instead of, they got all the towns that were comparable.
Sure.
So he might be able to get you started, I don't know.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Well, what
Okay.
would the board feel comfortable sort of essentially designating Chris and Priscilla to do this study and to report back to the board?
So moved.
And it's a two-person job?
Well, we can't be three,
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
or
or,
it becomes a
just
definite guest to
one of
be
you
warned.
chose to just head it up and bring in other people from the community.
well, I think we're talking about conferring with Greg and then also Shannon.
Well, however you wanna do it.
Yeah, I
mean,
think it's up to you
you know,
to meet and figure it out.
I think if the two of them wanna do that, that's great.
it's fine. Yeah. If you're willing,
Okay.
are you willing?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Then we don't need a formal motion, let's just get that in motion and then please
Do we have
report back to us.
okay.
Yeah, do we have a
Well,
deadline on this?
Yeah.
Sometime before the
Well,
next budget
before the
meeting.
budget.
Meetings and-
So we got some
Plenty of
time,
time.
but, you know, let's, you know,
Ourselves.
sooner is better than
Online.
later. Okay.
All right.
Moving forward, old business, unless is there any other new business to be brought before the board? Moving on, hazard mitigation grant program update. Any update on that?
Shannon,
Anything new? Could you say no?
Yeah, a little bit new.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I know, I'm assuming everyone got the email that all the projects ended
Yes.
up approved. So that was good. And then yesterday in the mail, we received a letter from the state saying that they're trying very hard to come up with the other 25% so that some of these people won't have to walk away with 75%. So
no, wouldn't that be sweet?
Oh,
yeah, we're
very
being
nice.
told to be cautiously optimistic at
Great.
this point. So
Okay.
I think it ought to be put on record that, this board owes Shannon and Dan a lot of gratitude for getting this stuff done.
cash
I
is
will-
better than
Yeah,
cash.
throw money.
I'll second that.
Yeah, well,
Take us, send money.
Thank you. I'm
great.
Good work.
pleased how things are going now. I
Perfect.
wasn't before.
I
Now
know.
That's why Dan's not
Thanks,
meeting
Dan.
anytime soon.
She got a quilt too.
Oh, yes, and I got a quilt. Thank you.
There you go.
I'm so excited.
The other part of the hazard mitigation is the culverts, and that's
Those
going,
were approved too.
those were approved, so the Wiswall Hill.
Now, again, cautiously optimistic. If any funding shortfalls happen, that's where they're gonna be cut.
Yes.
But
So they're like they're not exigent, is that like that kind of thing, that it's not
they don't.
guaranteed, that's not
Yeah,
quite how they
The
work?
letter said we don't foresee any issues.
I see.
But just so you know, if there are,
They
That's
can
the
always,
last
they can,
priority.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Town office improvements discussion.
nope, it's not any better yet.
Yeah, although it's, there is some progress. Dan did contact several different, what is it, 4 or 5?
Yeah.
So maybe you can, and he opened up the trap door and I almost fell down, but anyway.
We don't have any proposals in hand yet, though, that's the problem.
So we're kind of in process.
It's in the
You
process. yeah.
reached out and we're hoping to get some response.
Right.
And I contacted one, Coda and Coda recommended that we ask Michael Marquis or Morando to come down, and if the water that's sitting needs to be pumped, but you can't pump it, and we can't, we've been denied the ability to be able to put it into the storm drains out here by the V-Trans. And we can't slice across and put it in the brook because we've got oil tanks and everything else. So there may need to be some collection bin for it and have it pumped out. But anyway, Coda and Coda recommended at least to go that direction to see what they might recommend. So I had an email from Mike today, and he has a second project that he needs to do in terms of the emergency watershed protection at Benedito's. So he'll come down on May 1st, and if it's something that he really needs to do, and I know the last people was Green Mountain Wells, said that they would put in a call to him. So they seem to be the ones that had more ideas
Yeah.
than anybody else. But at least there's something
Okay.
moving on that.
Okay, good. Planning and zoning priorities, and this I put on, this is really just a simple kind of, if you will, statement. We had met with the planning commission and it's kind of an update, which is we'd met with the planning commission last meeting, and they'd said they were going ahead with the bylaw changes first and the plan update second. And
Night.
good night.
Night, thanks, Dan.
And essentially, so I had gotten some different information, and so I had contacted Wyndham Regional, and Wyndham Regional was very clear that the plan update has to go first. The plan reapproval is essential first. It does not have to be a major revision. It's quite possible that the plan made 10 years ago really is basically intact, but they do need to update the statistics somewhat, and they have to review it and see if there are any changes that they would recommend. So that process is Tristan. I've spoken with Tristan, and he is aware of that, and is now on board that they will take on the review and the renewal of the plan first before going through the bylaws in detail.
Which will mean that they have to have hearings.
They will still need a hearing, and I don't know, I think we may need a hearing once we receive it before it's actually we can approve it. But that process is in motion. Okay? That's what that item is. The next is the speed limit on Dover Road. We had kind of postponed this until spring since there wasn't anything we could do. Wyndham Regional is perfectly happy to put down the speed counters. The question, I just wanted to get the sense from the board whether there was any point to that. I know I had, and I speak now again for myself, I had some feeling that, well, it was a simple change and we don't have to review everything that's been done since the beginning of time, but that it might be worthwhile to consider. But if the board felt otherwise, I would not proceed with asking Wyndham Regional to do the speed check. So I just wanted to put it out there to the board.
I think we need to, do you two know what we're talking about?
We talked about
Yes,
it.
yeah.
We were here when the gentleman came and asked about the speed
Right.
change.
Right.
May I interject something else with regard to the speed limit? We have a problem on Dover Road, do we not?
As far as,
I don't know that you can enforce Dover Road because you don't have your reduce signs moving. I don't even know if the signs are back up, are they?
some of them are, but Wyndham Regional could help us with that stuff. I personally have a problem with changing this, not because I don't have a problem changing the speed limit. I have a problem with somebody coming in here and saying, oh, this house won't sell unless we change the speed limit. So then we change the speed limit for this guy, and the next person says, oh, well, wait a minute, now you change. I mean, the ordinance has been there. It was studied by Wyndham Regional before. They're the ones that told that board what to post the roads at. This guy comes in here and says, pretty sure I can sell this house if you change the speed limit. I don't buy that. I really don't buy that. If you want to do a study, then do a study, but just to change it because somebody comes in here and says that, I want the speed limit changed, doesn't seem right to me. Well, that's my own opinion.
Didn't you also say, Todd, that it shouldn't go from 45 plunks down to
No,
25?
it really
or
shouldn't.
something?
It's a speed trap.
So maybe,
Right, they have to do a reduce, don't they? Just by
Well,
law?
you should. You don't
Yeah.
have to, but you should. I mean, it creates
I
a speed
thought-
trap.
Yeah, no, I thought that's what I'd heard
Well,
from
yeah, you probably should be one more
VSP or somebody as far as they can't actually enforce the
That's right.
speeding tickets.
because
That may
there's-
be something, are we contracting with the sheriff's department?
Not right now.
Right
State
now,
police
we
till
still have the state
June
police
30th.
till in the new budget, we're going.
Well,
Did we
why-
actually, we didn't sign a contract.
No, we haven't even discussed that previously. I mean,
Yeah.
after
be
July
on
1st, we need
Yeah.
to, or we,
Shannon, another future agenda item, we have to talk about the contracting with the
it's easy
sheriff's
enough to put a
office.
sign there. I mean, this goes from 45, then you could put a sign that says reduce speed ahead 25
Yeah.
or whatever. Or you could put a 35 mile an hour sign there and then move the 25 mile an hour sign just a little bit farther towards the
Right.
bridge.
So if we, see, my feelings, as you know, is a little different. I mean, I've just looked at it and it sort of looks like, it does seem peculiar that here's a house and then there's nothing on the other side, and we're slowing them down after they get past the house. And I'd rather see it be the 45, 35, and let's, it's a small thing.
I tend to concur with Todd on the basis of you know, I have no problem. It is peculiar when you're driving through that. But I have an issue with doing it for the simple purpose of someone coming in and saying, this is a problem for me personally right here, because, so I think that overall I'd like to just state that I think it should be done, not just in that one little
Okay.
section, but we do have some problems on Dover Road because of, obviously, the flood. So we should probably address it uniformly.
Okay.
Matt
Other,
Mann may come out and do a study for you. I mean,
yeah, Matt would do it. I mean, he was happy to do it. That wasn't, so I'll go ahead, but I understand
I think
people's
the
side. I
feeling
wanted
is, yeah.
people to have the say,
I
not up to
also,
me.
I do want to say that I don't feel, I mean, we had in 2004 a huge thing about speeding on the Dover Road. We had a traffic control committee, or traffic calming committee that we formed. We went through a lot of work. We had I did talk to Pete about it because I remembered that we had the last speed study was, and traffic count at that location was done in 2004. And and I did talk to Pete about what would warrant, changing the speed limit in that area or other affected zones. But I'm just wondering what you're talking about as far as the signs not being. There are some in that area
if you're
that are.
coming from Dover towards South Newfane,
Yeah.
it says 45. Starting around the corner by Shepstone's old road there on the right hand
Yeah.
side, it's bang 25. That's what a lot of people have been complaining about. It should say,
So that's different.
right, it's different
Well,
than what we're,
Yeah.
But I'm also referring, I believe that we had some speed limit signs when Dover Road went down into the riverbed. I think we're missing some
Could be.
signs
it could
coming up to the Green Iron Bridge.
Like the,
And I'm not sure, but maybe coming toward one side or the other of the covered bridge. I drive it every day. I can't remember which way it goes.
Do we have a sign inventory, Shannon?
Yeah, I think we're talking about two different things, though.
But I can tell you,
Yes.
I don't mean it not now. I'm just, if we have one, we could look it up.
if you're coming from Newfane, going towards the Green Iron Bridge, it says reduce speed where it goes from 35 to 25, and then it never reduces its speed.
So we need a 25.
I think I saw it in somebody's yard.
There's a guy
oh,
named,
that, right, that guy who has the thing about the traffic, oncoming traffic doesn't stop. I think he also may have our 25
there's a
mile an
guy
hour
named
sign.
Marcos Miller from V-Trans that does this stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's very good.
He
So-
might be able to, he might come down and take a look at everything on Dover Road. Say,
Yeah.
oh, you're missing this, you need this, you need
How
that.
about that?
That would be great. All right.
I feel a little bit better about going that route.
So would I.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, that's why I brought it up, because I think I'm sort of in the minority in terms of, I'm sort of thinking business-wise and trying to help people out, and I'm also thinking I don't have quite the same reaction to somebody coming in saying, it's part of South Newfane and they could slow down.
There would be I think that there would be a large group of people that would be lined up outside the door wanting the speed limit changed in front of their house also, if they
No.
heard this.
Okay,
Which,
all right, well,
There's
There's no question, Priscilla. You would know that from having done the prior one with you.
yeah, I mean, it was
Okay.
sort of like a
All
lunch
right.
mob.
Right.
all right, I mean, I'm just saying,
I
I'm willing
wasn't,
to accept
I
being in
have
the
to
minority.
say, I
Move
wasn't
on.
against lowering the speed limit. I'm all for lowering the speed limit, but I don't think that going about it in that manner
I don't think
is.
so either.
Okay,
Will you contact Vermont Trans
Yeah, if Shannon, just
or
kind
have
of give me a
Shannon?
reminder on the email that I should get a hold of Marcus Miller.
so that sounds like we're not, from what I'm getting is the sense of the board, is that we do not want to do the speed study, that we want to leave things as they are, that we want to inform the real estate guy who came to us that that we have discussed it, but we are not planning to do anything.
Well, you tell him we're gonna get this guy to,
And-
V-Trans to take a look at it.
That
first.
we, that we will get V-Trans to take a look at it, okay?
What,
Fine, that sounds fine.
what
That
would
sounds
the
fine.
speed study, if Matt Mann did that, what would it actually do?
counts the cars
Yeah,
And how
and
fast
the
they're
speed they're going. And then you could probably get the report that they did in 2004, and it might be quite similar to what it is now.
Probably wouldn't be that
Do we
dramatically
pay for
different.
that?
No, Wyndham Regional does it.
That's one of their
Yeah.
services.
But I guess, how is determination made to reduce a speed limit?
That's where I think you gotta get V-Trans involved. Or
Okay.
All right,
I mean,
let's,
that's where
that
I'm
seems like the logical step in any
Mhm.
case, and I totally hear what people are saying, that you want it to be broader than a specific request from a specific realtor. Fine. So Shannon, you do that to,
she just gotta give me a wake-up call and I'll do it.
or will you remind Todd to do it?
I just send him an email.
So Todd, you will contact V-Trans?
Yeah. I've dealt with Marcos before. He's actually the one
What's
that works
his
on
name?
River Road. Marcos Miller. Pretty sure that's what his name is.
Okay.
That's the shack that's supposed to.
But if it's not, I'll find out who he is.
The Little Grass Shack.
Okay, the next is the Rock River Shack. We had kind of talked about this and kind of moved it up to say, now that it's spring, we would like our health officer to look at it. Is that the sense of the board, that we want the health officer to move on this?
Yes.
Now, should I make the call to him? Do you know what we're talking about?
Yes, but who's the health
It's
officer?
Tim Schaefer.
Oh, okay.
Who's the health officer?
So I would contact Tim Schaefer to ask him to do that?
Yeah. Anyway, I was sorting papers.
What again is the,
This is where you're going on the path to Indian Love Call, and you get down, and this
Do you know
is
what
the
that
old,
is?
and this is
Yeah.
the old road. And what you really can't see in this very dark image here is that 3/4 of that road is taken up with this very deteriorating, dilapidated shed that people have put trash in and.
Which is, to me, is not the owner's problem. He's not the one that's putting the trash in there. People that are walking down there are putting the trash in there. So now we're gonna turn around to him and say, well, we want this thing torn down because
well,
people are putting
does
trash
the
in
one
there.
come up or
Well,
has the
it's in
owner
a
said
very,
anything?
you've seen it, Todd.
It's
It's
also
just,
been-
an
it's also
horrendous,
been
it's an
under
horrendous,
line,
because
so-
that shack, and it's in, I don't know how it happened, but it's in the middle of the road. It's not
So this is a
on the
road
side.
that we maintain?
No.
No.
No,
It's a-
no,
It's not even a class 4.
It's not, it's a
not
trail.
even-
It's a town trail.
It might be a town trail, it may have been given out, because when we did the ancient roads, anything that wasn't on the map, all right, that we knew about, it was thrown up, so I got a feeling that was thrown up,
I thought,
which reverts back to private property.
no, I thought that,
Well, we
Ed
definitely
said we
need to know
did.
that.
Shannon,
Shannon, what do
I
you
thought it
think?
is.
When we did the ancient roads, how did that go? There was only like 3 or 4 roads that we kept, I think. And I think the rest of them, unless people had an objection to them, were thrown up.
Well,
I
then how are
think,
the people
however,
getting out there? I mean, is-
going
They're
with,
walking right out from there.
yeah, but it's
It's the-
Marie
it's a-
Peduto.
it is a trail.
Yeah, so Shannon's saying it is a trail. From the-
And a
Is that-
state, from a state level, Marie Peduto, who walked it, I walked it with her, I mean,
Oh, I
it has to
would
be
No,
accessible.
I'm just asking if I'm in
It's,
the right place for something.
why does it have to be accessible? Well, then,
Yeah.
because it is
Because
a trail?
Yeah, and
Where's Depot?
there's a certain amount of
Yeah, that's it.
space
Yeah, it goes back to
for
Depot.
access to the,
That's the one?
Yeah.
anyway, I'm positive it's, they put a
Yeah,
building
it's
in,
on trail.
on a place
Okay.
where it's
So it is
not
a
legally
trail.
theirs.
Okay. All right,
And
so
it's-
I'll
How
ask
long
Shannon
ago
to take a
was
look
that
at it.
done?
We'd have to.
We
go back.
don't really, I don't think we ever really heard the whole story. All that we heard, Chris and I, was about this.
Mhm.
But is the story that this place is, what is the story? What are you proposing to do?
Have it come down.
And
Well,
and
actually,
now-
all we're proposing to do is to have the
Trash
health officer look at it. At this
Right
point,
now.
and
But
then,
belongs
so,
to someone?
you
And
know,
what's their stance on this?
I don't think the town's ever got a hold of it.
I don't think we ever succeeded. I remember we talked about contacting the owners. Did
Adolf
we, Shannon,
Dixon
did we
was
ever
Mr.
send anything to the owners?
I thought we did.
I thought we sent something, but I don't think we ever got any response, but I don't know for certain.
Well, I think that might be something we should pursue first, right? To make clear that we do have that on record. Number two, I'm confused. So I want clarification on the legality of this town trail, because the board, if that was thrown up,
Well, we
Then
just,
this is not a matter
Chris,
for
we
us.
just did that.
There's a map, Shannon got a map out.
It
It shows
is
that
ours.
it's legal.
Yeah, it's our
Oh,
legal
okay.
trail. That's
okay,
what we just did.
okay.
So it is our trail, and whether the exact location, in its current situation, you have a path. Let's just call it a path. About so wide. If the thing is so wide, this shack is in the one end of it is in the exact middle of that path. And now it may well be that where the path was and where it is have changed over time. You know, this can't be guaranteed. Do you understand what I'm
I
saying?
clearly understand it,
In
yeah.
other words, the house was built back in probably the 40s or 50s.
Right.
It's an old Huntington
It's a camp.
Do they pay taxes?
And this shack,
They
They do pay taxes.
They'd have to if it's in
it wouldn't still have the land. So it is owned, the property is owned, but they don't own the trail. The shack is in the middle of the trail. And frankly, this shack has no value to anyone. I mean, if you see it, no, you good question, but it has no, you look at it.
Is there another building besides?
Yeah,
the
There's a
shack?
house that they
Yeah.
own. This isn't
just-
a living.
Oh.
This isn't a
a-
cabin.
This
is
isn't a cabin. We're
this
talking
is
about a
just
thing that's about no
it's a
bigger than this
shed.
table.
Yeah, it's a shed. Well,
It's a,
Okay.
yeah, maybe
Anyway.
double the
Yeah.
table.
Okay.
and you know, when we were doing a lot with Indian Love Call, and we had the Rock River Preservation Group come in, and then Dennis. Do you know who went with them? Did you?
Me.
You went with Tom, was it?
Yes.
Or with Tom
And someone
Shotwell
else.
and somebody
Tom
else.
and someone else.
So they walked that, and then on the way back, I mean, Dennis was the one who's really pushing,
Yeah.
was pushing to make sure this was addressed, because it's really, it's hazardous. So it's just a suggestion that either that they fix it up, and if their grandfather claused in to be on there, then they need to.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
more clear now.
Oh, good.
Okay. I thought that,
And the most likely is they could
There.
care less what happens with the shack, but they just don't want the expense in
well, I
dealing
would think
with
it
it.
would be like a hazardous, just as far as like, there could be rodents or whatever.
I'm sure
you
there
know.
are.
Yeah.
You know, if there are places there, they wouldn't want it.
And honestly, I mean, in terms
And
of
so that the
insurance,
health
they
officer
may
that-
Yeah.
be
Now I
opening
understand.
themselves up
Okay.
to certain liability by having this thing. So I think if we just move ahead gradually, we can probably take care of it and without harm to anybody. So
That's the first
that's
step.
what we're trying to do.
So somebody's
We
putting
should
in-
check, the first thing, as people said, we should first check to find did we send to the landowners in the first place? And if we did, we should probably do a follow-up, and then,
And maybe the follow-up should be a return receipt requested, then we know that they got it.
okay. All right, so rather than, I will not contact Jim Schaefer at this point. We'll pursue sending a return receipt to make sure that the owner knows and let them say whatever they feel.
So their names have come up recently, and I don't know whether it's back scanning documents or something, or they just had a different change of address, so we probably would.
Okay, I will follow up with Shannon on this.
Listeners should have the address.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got it?
But Shannon, I'm not, it seems to me something more recently came in as a change of address, so
Okay.
you might want to double check it.
Let's move ahead, we're doing better.
I've got a couple of things for old business
Okay,
that, just today or yesterday, in came a gentleman who works for AT&T, and they're considering putting up a cell tower. So just to let the board know, it had nothing to do with anything,
Really?
except they're
I-
looking.
well, I've been harassing our senators in
Yeah.
Congress
But
for
anyway,
that.
that's something that's, they're just looking at possibilities. They'll go through all sorts of hearings, et cetera, because I said, maybe you need to come to the select board, but.
They don't need our, but
And
well, they
I
do.
did- And I
We
did
do
give
have
them
an
a copy of the wireless.
Right, and VTEL is trying to put up the one over the sheriff's thing, but they don't wanna talk to us until they
Yeah.
do it.
Okay, and then just to update you on the emergency watershed protection program, maybe we should put that on as old business, cause it's still ongoing. Rob Allen came down last Friday, we went and looked at places. 3 of them have been deemed ineligible now. That's the P-Trax and David Roberts and Gordon's on South Wardsboro Road. Because of the work that was done by the town to move that river back, no longer was Rock River coming at Roberts.
Well, we really solved the problem as
So yeah, but that's the reasoning. So
Okay.
I sent letters to all of them, and those that are to get work done this spring, I sent a letter just to say, we haven't forgotten you, and this is the process, we're still waiting. It seems that the USDA is looking into removing certain debris first, so they may not trigger this to go into full production. And once it does, and I told them there's certain paperwork, and Chris and Priscilla, you can come in and just see what it is, but they want to get all of the engineering plans done. They want to get the Army Corps of Engineers to give their permit. They want Barry Cahoon to give the permission to go to the rivers, etc., before we
Okay.
put that back out for bid.
Good. Okay. Just a couple quick things there. Just so to again to inform the board, we are continuing efforts to get help for individuals, which is not a town effort as such, but there's a lot, just to keep people aware that there's a lot going on. And I have been discussing with various and sundry, particularly the Brattleboro Development Corporation and with the Wyndham Regional, to try to get us some help for greening the area between Williamsville and South Newfane. So far, what looks real looks very, very minimal, but maybe we'll get lucky. I also did want to just simply remind people that there is another training thing that is available for municipal labor and employment law, and to encourage any member who wishes to take advantage of that to do that, and remind you there is money in our budget for your attendance. There is no unfinished business, so unless there is anything further from members of the pub or a member of the public, as it may be in this moment.
Just one quick note, the Newfane Business Association is
Right.
gone.
Right.
So there are a lot of stuff that was being done by them is no longer going
That's
to happen.
right.
Like the Winterfest, the flags and stuff like that.
Yes, this was one of those things where I was actually very upset that that's the case, but that I did talk to Marilyn Distler about it, and they've been kind of single-handedly keeping this going, and I was hoping that there would be a reaction when they closed it down, and apparently there has not been much of a reaction. And unfortunately, to get help in this area, kind of for the businesses in the area, what they want to see, most of the agency want to work through a chamber of commerce, and the Newfane Business Association is the closest thing we had to it. But without it, we don't have anything through. But this is not something we can, as a board, control. That concludes the primary business. We do have a little bit of correspondence, which we'll get to, but we do need an executive session.
My call.
Night, Gunther.
Thank you, Gunther. And yeah, when we go into, then we won't have to move if you can. Thank you very much.
No problem. So is the meeting done?
Well, we do have correspondence,
Okay.
which will come after we come out of closed session, but for the closed session, we have to be just ourselves.
Okay.
Are we inviting Shannon in?
It's a little tricky. It does involve employees of the town, and you know, I'm willing to take guidance from the board.
I know in the past we've invited Shannon in, but
It doesn't matter to me personally one iota. So.
To me either, except that I would go.
But I think in one of the two matters, I think we should really not have Shannon present simply because it's another employee that she works.
Why don't we let her go home then?
Why didn't we let you go home? How about that?
We'll send you home.
Send me home.
Yes.
Go.
Yes, not
How about
gonna let
that?
you.
Get out of
can I try that too?
Yeah.
You can go anytime.
Tell me you don't want me.
We'll try and come up with some things for you. You'll have to
Can
leave.
you just give me like 2 seconds?
No!
Heads up?
Well, we could go to correspondence while
Okay.
we do that, while you...
That.
Letter.
What is that, Kurt? You just told me you're gonna have correspondence and so
Oh,
come back and do
oh,
that.
okay, you're right.
Right?
You're right,
Yeah.
you're right,
Just-
you're right.
We,
Right to know, you know you're gonna get in trouble.
You're right,
we can
you're right.
stretch.
Yeah.
I was going to suggest that.
I don't know if we have much correspondence we didn't actually already cover.
Yeah, we did a
Oh,
bunch.
we have to sign this. We have some
No.
signing we have to
Yeah, we
do.
could sign that.
The dog. Oh, this is I guess there are a couple things.
Okay.
Dog.
A couple things I have to
Oh,
read
dog.
aloud. There is some correspondence. I can't completely. So we'll just pause for a second, stretch, and let Shannon
Dog,
get herself.
Pause, I
Very
know.
nice, John.
Yeah.
Very nice. Anything else?
I
You
didn't-
know why?
That was actually unintended, even though I am the kind of person who would say such a thing, I will admit, but it was not. No pun was intended in that case.
I thought Shannon wanted to go home.
She's
Well, she's allowed to.
Frozen and it won't shut up.
It's
Oh,
frozen.
no.
What happened?
Is there anything I can help you with?
No, it just.
That's her
It doesn't want
Is this
me to
yours?
go.
throwaway pile.
Is this your? Oh, it's junk.
Recycling.
That's, can
That's
these go in
true.
there?
I don't think this will. What? The shredder?
Recycling or shredding?
Recycling. I think we.
Where's recycling?
No, that's not for recycling.
Where's recycling?
There's a box
Where? I'm
behind you
looking.
here.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah. And that green one we keep for shredding people. I was going to suggest to everybody who might want to use the water, that there are plenty of mugs, and I was just thinking maybe putting a hook up. I know John took that and put it in his mailbox, but if you didn't want to worry about, mugs.
Or bring our own?
Or bring your own, but I've got plenty of mugs in the pot there that you could just put on yours and drink from it the next time.
Okay. All right.
It would
Thank you,
save us-
Sienna. Good night, thank you.
Good night, thanks.
See you Monday.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Oh, she's off Fridays.
Oh.
I do 4
I'll be
10
here
hours.
too.
Okay. All right. So let's just start with. So we're now. I need a motion
I move to go
to.
into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're now. That motion is passed. We're now in executive session. Actually, no sooner than that, then I would like a motion to adjourn the meeting in order to go into a meeting of the liquor
We
control.
gotta make a
we
motion
need
for this
to
letter
move-
first.
Wait, we gotta do this.
Oh, the letter, you're right.
Yeah. Right.
Coming out of exec, we need a motion on the letter.
I'd like to make a motion that we, I guess, continue on with the letter that, to Maureen that we have been working on and with the changes that have been noted. Do we need to be more specific about?
No.
Okay.
And we'll,
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Better write that down for sure. Who made the motion and seconded it?
Oh, yeah.
What the motion was.
I will.
Since our,
did you second it?
Yes.
Let's have Chris second it.
Why?
Todd seconded it.
Oh, because
Alright.
you're,
Yeah.
No, it's fine, if you wanna.
Keep
Go
it, I'll
Okay.
second it.
PMC, motion to accept letter. Okay, go ahead.
I move to go out of, regular meeting to do the electrical board.
Second. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are now in the liquor, acting as a liquor control board. We have one application, which is simply that the Newfane market has been sold and the new owners required a new permit, and they've completed the appropriate forms. So do I hear a motion to approve their application for a liquor?
So moved.
Okay.
Discussion?
Todd.
Yeah, so could you,
Chris.
Priscilla, could I ask you to continue to take these kind of notes for?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving.
Just sign.
Oh, it requires, well, there are a bunch of things that
Okay.
require signatures, so I'm gonna just put it in this,
So I can
sign it
right.
before we get out of here. Also, we have that, that's another thing that,
I
I
move to adjourn the liquor control board.
and reconvene our,
And reconvene the select board meeting. We'll second that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now
Who
back
are
in
you?
session as
Gloria.
the Newfane Select Board. The last item on our agenda is correspondence, and I have a few pieces of correspondence. The first one is from Jake Arado, who writes that he was walking his dog just past Van Kirk's house on Parish Hill Road when I heard a large truck and got my dog off the road. He was walking his dog. A full-size Renault Brothers dump truck came up and around the corner below Van Kirk's, leaving absolutely no room for another vehicle to get by the truck. After going around the block and passing the four corners, the dump truck came down Parish Hill and took a right, but the mailbox is once again going by Van Kirk's and using the first bridge to get back onto Baker Brook Road. In fairness to Renault, the truck driver, the no truck signs were at a reason. I'm trying to read this correctly. In fairness to Renault Brothers, Renault Brothers truck driver, the no truck signs that were at a reasonable angle for the truck driver to see are both missing. The only remaining no truck sign is at the first Baker Bridge, but at an angle where the truck drivers can't really see it until they start to go over the bridge to head up Parish Hill. I'm writing this because it's a serious safety issue for everyone involved, and I'm hoping the town can act proactively to replace these important truck restriction signs before there is a tragedy on Parish Hill Road. Thank you for giving this matter consideration, and thanks for all that you do. Jake Urado, and he did copy, Renault Brothers.
She.
She? Jake
Yeah.
is a she?
His wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Janice is Jake and
Jay and Jake, okay.
George is Jay.
I will check that out.
Okay.
I think the sign's still there, but I'll check it out. Now we'll talk to Renault Brothers to go up the second bridge, because they're not supposed to be going across that first bridge anyways.
Okay. Thank you,
Seems
Tom.
odd that
Okay, the next is from John Feifel, the Deputy Health Officer. I'm writing regards an inspection of the septic system at 34 Stratton Hill Road, South Newfane, owned by Joseph Benedetto. Before the Emergency Watershed Protection Program can proceed for the Benedetto property, his septic system had to be repaired. Michael Marquise, that's you were talking about, the septic system designer, met with Mr. Benedetto and Gloria Cristelli, town representative for the EWP, and indicated that one pipe needed to be replaced. Since A.S. Clark had installed the original septic system, Mr. Benedetto contracted with the company to replace the pipe and put in additional dirt to cover the septic system, bringing the septic system back to acceptable standards to proceed with the EWP work. As per inspection on April 10th, on 10:45 with Town Clerk Cristelli, I attest to the fact that such property is ready for the emergency watershed stream bank stabilization to proceed. Well, I'm not quite sure why we're
Because we're the Board of Health.
Oh, so this has to be as a Board of Health. So what are we supposed to do?
Just be aware of it.
Okay.
There is a bit more complication after that, in that when Rob Allen came down to look at sites, and I told you previously that there were 3 sites
Right.
deemed ineligible, we went up to Benedetto's, and he thinks that there's a slump, and he's not sure if that is actually repaired properly. So when Michael Marquis comes down and looks at the office, Marquis comes down here, we'll go up to Benedetto's, and then it could be signed off by him if he really thinks that it's done. Rob Allen is concerned about the environmental issue.
Okay, so you're kind of following that,
Yep.
tracking, we'll bring it back to our attention if there's a problem. Just to let you know, we're still getting billed for the flood damage to the dumpsters. You guys don't know about this, I don't think, but the Wyndham Solid Waste billed us for the dumpsters. We've done several occasions for the sand getting into the dumpsters, etc. And we said, hey, they're your dumpsters. It's
What
not
about their
our
like
problem.
insurance? Do
And-
they have insurance?
Or whatever, and we tried contacting, we said, give us a call, talk to us, and we've never gotten any response. So, I don't know what you want, would you want me to try to talk to them as well? I mean, what
I
do
wonder
you
if
want
we
to do?
could have Joanna Gardner as our,
Johanna.
Johanna, if she could,
just
as our rep?
Yeah.
Is
See?
that the kind of thing she's,
I don't
as
know.
our rep, supposed to, I don't know, I'm asking. I'm not
I
saying
mean,
she
I
is
don't
or she
know.
isn't.
I mean, what capacity is she?
She's,
I mean,
she's-
usually wouldn't it be like,
I know Dennis called
We
several.
tried several times to talk to them, and they don't answer, they just send a new bill.
Have we written a formal letter saying that we are
I
not?
think he wrote a
paying them?
letter.
Well, maybe we need to check up on that.
All right, I'll follow it. There are too many
do you
things
want us
going
to
into
do
that.
some following?
I don't mind, hey,
Okay,
Priscilla
I'll do it.
will
We
follow
have to every
up.
once in a while.
That
I
sounds
feel
good
like
to
you
me.
keep saying you're gonna
Sounds good to
follow up.
me.
Okay.
Next, this is about just the digital, Vermont's digital future, May 8th in Champlain College. Our participation is critical if we're going to be connected. I don't know what to do with this, but I'm just alerting you to the fact. I'll pass it around if anyone's interested. Take a look at it. Living history, I think we got this before, there's an August the 4th Blueberry Parade, and it kicks off July 27th and 28th, it's the Blueberry Festival, and there's supposed to be a block party on South Main Street, that must be in Brattleboro or Wilmington? It says this association is in Wilmington, so I guess it must be in Wilmington. So I think they're just letting us know, and they're asking if we wish to participate, which obviously we don't, but they're basically informing us this happened last year too. They're just letting us know. That, I believe, concludes, and I do have a letter, by the way, from the same gentleman making the request that we discussed earlier about the reduction of the speed limit. That, I believe, concludes the correspondence, and with that brings us to pay orders. So I think we need a motion to sign our pay orders, or do we review them, first? Okay, so we're up to pay orders.
Yeah, just to encourage people, if you have any computer waste, like monitors, etc., the Double Green Plus from Brookline is actually going to do a recycling, collecting it here on Saturday from 11 to 4.
Okay.
So just bring it in.
Okay.
Television?
Televisions, no, it's just computer.
Okay.
but television's e-waste, it's free. but
Anybody
take it
remember
down to
who
the
made
solid
the motion
waste.
to go into the liquor control and who made the motion or seconded it?
Todd made it and I seconded it.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Very good. Okay, on to pay orders. And also, please just be sure to sign these other documents that we discussed in the process. Let me hand you these, Todd. I know you're usually the one to go through these. And we want to go through them. And let's just be sure we sign everything that
Gotta
needs to
bring
be
out,
signed.
you know, that junk that's right across from WW. The house with all the.
What's the
trash.
story?
Anyway, I think.
Do you
we
know
need-
about
I only know one renter because of dogs.
Oh, there's more than
I don't know.
that woman.
Rich knows this, yeah?
Sure. Either way, whatever's easier.
You'll notice we did get, Barbara Williams did return her
Yeah.
her thing, and this one for, to be the town service officer, and this is one we do have to sign.
Oh,
Pay order.
oh, nice chair.
So we're gonna do another ordinance next time?
I think we, let's, what,
It's kind of late now.
yeah, it's just a little,
Al Jeffers,
Let's
seven
give the guy a
1689.
break.
yeah,
Yep.
While we're right
That's
here,
such a jam-packed meeting.
How do
This is
we
a
get
line.
things
get their
done?
attention here. While we're right here, starting at pay orders, is Al Jefferson Sons, $716.89. Is because whoever we've been having do the furnace at the garage hasn't been doing it right. So it just cost us a fortune to get that flushed and taken care of right. So
Yeah.
Coda and Coda was the last one that worked on it, and apparently they messed it up big time. So that bill's pretty expensive.
That's too bad. I sort of feel like they've gotten too big.
Yeah.
just be very, this liquor control thing, just, it requires signatures in 2 different places.
Well, yeah, because one's a tobacco.
Right, but just,
Do we have
it
to add
just
some of these
isn't,
up?
she
No,
normally has those
Town
stickies,
garage,
and
fine,
I don't have
I
a
guess.
sticky,
Oh.
I'll put a sticky.
Think of New York Mellon? Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I just, we sometimes sign one and then sign the other, and
Diesel, 3138.98.
Okay.
Foxborough Reformer, ERB advertising, 5556.
Yep.
Hot systems. Town clerk records, 223.
Yep.
Uniforms, 236.95. Road data, Memorial Day veterans flags, cemetery expense, 284.96. Get that one? Department of Public Safety.
Maybe you could make a copy of these and not take them away.
whatever, well, it doesn't matter, we've got,
You've got more?
yeah,
Should ask her about that.
yeah.
Interesting.
We're not short of that bill.
They're not charging.
What is today, the 19th?
Yeah.
I'm just, this is
Should
second
ask
week.
her, guys. Huh?
Memorial Day Veterans Flag?
Yeah. Usually be the cemetery commission, I would think.
Well, it says cemetery expense though.
What
Why
is the
do we have to
Sullivan
reimburse
Powers
for
thing
it?
in here for? I don't think
Carolyn,
that's.
Is
Is
that
did that get attached?
Yeah.
Find out. How that works.
Write-off in excess of contract.
Oh
Oh,
no, this is something else.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know
is.
why we got what this is.
That's
It
a,
says just file,
No, that's.
right off an excessive contract. I guess they didn't, there were certain expenses, so she's just letting us know that
Okay.
they wrote off about, just for your info, Sullivan and Powers wrote off about
Yeah.
$3,000 in expense
okay.
that they could have charged us.
No, Gloria, this one on the cemetery flags. So what we're looking at is pretty much your whole credit card here. The only thing we need to refer, and why is this done this way through your personal credit card?
Because we don't have a credit card.
Why can't we build in the town?
Probably because the first year I was here, I was suddenly told, 2 weeks before, and I've just done it consistently that way, so I can certainly do that next year, to see whether I can
Should be able to set up an account with the town.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only reason, it's just, whoops, we've got to do it again.
Law enforcement state of 84130.
Yep.
Duran for the 07350, 51494.
Yep.
Earthquake, Stoneville, 19207.
Yep.
Priscilla,
Yeah.
just make sure you give whatever notes you took, you're
Got
putting
it
that
right here, just
together.
waiting for the adjournment.
Okay.
I'll just put them on our desk.
Yeah.
Dan Ho, oh, okay, so this is what Dan Ho shares with the town, that's his company.
Oh, okay, okay.
Another one, 6,375.47.
Yep.
Dan's due from America. This is also going to be reimbursable for the FEMA.
Right.
Jeff Russ, Williamsville Hall expects 125. Mel's opening the Williamsville Hall opening, so I'm assuming the heat and everything's back on again. Somebody go over there and make sure.
That is, we used it for a meeting
Did you shut it down again? The furnace?
no, it was on
Yeah, but the only thing it should really be heating is the two bathrooms. When nobody's using it.
at Williamsville Hall.
Yeah. There's no point in heating that hall and nobody's using it. It's gonna take a ton of fuel.
Then maybe that's all that was there.
I'll look
Must have
at it.
been warm enough. for a
Normally
meeting.
when we don't use it, we
Yeah.
shut everything down except for the two bathrooms and maybe the kitchen.
Yeah,
Otherwise it's gonna take a half tank of fuel just
Yeah.
to heat it.
Maybe somebody better check.
Okay.
yeah,
Town garage contracted services, $50. What is this for? What is that for? Oh, Fred.
Yeah.
That's for the garbage out here.
Yeah.
Leader, office supplies,
the
$250.
garbage out there, he didn't pick that up this week.
It's for the bottled water. Is that what that's for? Is bottled water? 2 liters? For 2050, so office supplies, 2050, but it's liter distribution. Vermont Natural Water, it says.
Now, we get that from, well, that's what this is. Comes through Pepsi.
Probably liter.
Leader distribution, sure.
Yeah.
Come on, that's all. Yeah.
Newfane School District, wow, aren't we lucky? $1,208,195.
What?
Well, he only wants $302,048.75.
3020485. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah, she just got a bunch of scribbling up here, but she's got this marked this way. Total of four
Four
quarters.
quarters,
So,
right.
right here,
Note yourself to break payment to people.
Chris and Todd and I are supposed to sign this?
Yeah. It was the very last page when we
Blood
didn't
line credit.
sign it.
What do you have now? 47.
Today's the 19th. I know, I just asked that about
Yeah.
I have.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's still,
Sorry.
I'm looking at
We've got a lot of
504,711.67.
Yes, we had two of them. There's 500,000.
500,047,1167. Yep.
Okay.
Now, so we're repaying one of these notes.
That's gonna be.
Yeah, we did, yeah, I noticed that. We are, one of those is a repayment. That's one of our questions to Maureen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Each tire bearing 1,047, 43.
43, yep.
I guess I hadn't really heard of this.
So where's the,
I'm gonna say it as a template.
Rescue Inc. 3668.
Yep.
Staples 533.40.
Office supplies, computer stuff.
Mac, he didn't have it back yet. $652.87.
You don't have it, huh?
Sitting over there waiting for us to pick it up. It's been there since my mother died. Capital Bridges, $16,836.20.
Is it, oh, okay, because they do this every so often, or do they do this once a month? Yeah, this is December. Yeah, that's right.
Now, that's gonna improve our tourism a lot. That's
You
the
know,
best
he came
tourism
to
news.
Newfane. No, he didn't. It was Mick.
So she's just highlighting, this is, she gets it if we do it that way? Okay.
Yeah, he was born in Erie, PA, though. Not England.
Airmail.
And his wife is from her partner.
Well, and then, once they get here, they're gonna get a marriage license.
Oh, really?
This is the pile that goes with those, so we know.
Okay.
What you,
Yeah, but get what?
it says on our agenda like 8:30, and here it is almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
It's
I-
quarter to
I don't
10.
write those, I don't write those mythic numbers on the, we
Oh, am I
stuck to
signing
the agenda.
here?
You guys,
Signing
you didn't
all of
discuss how long it, how she paid for the
Just keep
cemetery, we would've been out of here hours ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I have the best one today. I got a postcard from a saloon in Dover, and it was made out to the Betterly Cemetery, P.O. Box 36, Newfane.
Lost mile.
They're up on Lost
Well,
Mile Road there, yeah.
why would Betterly Cemetery give an invitation to go to a saloon?
Oh my
for
God.
food, for lots of eats?
They're apparently not reading the, I can't
How in
read
the
what.
world they ever
Could be
got-
somebody up there likes to go to the saloon.
Serious. I don't know.
Did we get everything signed and?
So Todd,
on
this is
with
the
our
one,
lives.
we missed one section apparently.
Sign,
Last week.
Just make sure we sign everything,
sign.
if you approve it.
Interesting, very interesting. Wonder what they're gonna
Okay.
do.
Todd, this is more for you. With the fire station, I think I maybe forwarded this to you, but in fact, that the woman who took care of, she's the senior account manager, is the one who pulled up the wrong number in.
Yeah.
But I haven't
Got it?
seen
Greg
any.
probably needs
We
that.
got all the signatures
Okay.
on this one. This is for
I
Shannon.
forwarded it to him too, but I'll,
We're gonna try to get it on Fairpoint, let them answer the, this, they're still calling firehouse.
yeah, well, until next year.
Yeah, but if you put it on their Fairpoint's wire system, instead of having it on our phone that just died, then it'll be on there.
Okay.
We're looking into
Okay.
it, let's put that in.
And then I had a call from the guy who tried to do this.
All right.
All right, do we have everything?
All signatures.
Do I have a motion to
Todd,
approve?
yes, you have to sign this, the liquor control thing.
Yes, two different places.
Do we have a,
He doesn't sign those, right?
right,
Okay, good.
do we have a motion to approve pay orders?
Make a
Yes.
motion to approve the pay orders.
Second.
Do we have we noted for Shannon's sake who just
Yeah,
did
she's taking
I'm
notes.
trying to
now.
remember everybody's
Okay.
name, including my own.
Thank
Second.
And, okay, and so the motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? No. None on pay orders. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Adjourn.
Aye.
Oh.
We are officially adjourned at 9:50 p.m.
This was just,
Yes.
but you kept
I
it.
don't have somebody.
Don't worry.